Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Mailed Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and I am joined, as always, he's just trying to blend in with his walls this week. Matt is here.
Yep. So I'm trying to do. Trying to hide. Because Darkseid is, I guess. Maybe.
Darkseid is. He is.
My Darkseid is ends with a question mark, not a period. Darkseid is?
More on that in a little bit. Connor Kent isn't.
God, if I could throttle you through the screen, I would.
The look of rage on his face then, as he comprehended what you'd said.
Do you know what? That was such a good joke, and I'm impressed that I never thought of it before. It just sprung to my head there.
I thought you were talking crap about our Connor, so I just went with it for a second.
I did it first too.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Do you know what the funny thing is for a split second, I thought I'm going to crack a joke about Connor, and then I went, oh wait, I've got a better idea. I can twist it.
That's why.
Bye. Connor's here as well. He's the ginger one there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Weren't you wearing that shirt yesterday? just not a big deal or anything.
I wore it for like an hour last night, and I was like, no, that ain't dirty. I'm not washing that after an hour.
I have a pile of shirts sitting on my dresser that are like, well, I only wore it to record in.
Right.
So they're not dirty per se.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No. My wife still ends up washing them, so.
Connor's got a shirt for every day of the week, and he's wearing it.
Very good.
It's a bad joke. I apologise. We talk about DC Comics. Not to fill you with all this pointless banter at the start. But what's coming up on this week's show? Obviously, we're talking about this week's books, which is quite a big list. We have Mr. Miracle issue 1, Detective Comics 962, Action Comics 985, The Flash number 28, Titans number 14, Supergirl 12, Hal Jordan, The Green Lantern Corps number 26, Superwoman 13, New Superman 14, Batgirl and the Birds of Prey number 13, and me and Matt both decided to check out sort of a book that we dropped already because the arc that was starting seemed like it might be important. So we also at the end have, returning to the show, Justice League of America number 12. So
I considered it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
I'll tell you this, I'm committed because not only did I read number 12, I actually caught up to read number 12. I read it was only 6 issues since we dropped it, because the last one I'd read was 5, but I went above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Yeah, keyword duty.
Well, I'll tell you my experiences on that lane of fire.
Fun fact, I got caught up on Birds of Prey, but didn't tell Pete until now.
Oh.
So, yeah. But I'm not going to drag us down because just basically I had Poison Ivy, so I read it. I don't think I'm going to read past.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that those 5 minutes before the show started where I was juggling the order of the books so that it wasn't me on my own twice in a row, you could have just said, no, I read that one too.
Yeah, but this is more fun this way. Because really, I don't have much to bring to it. You're way more invested in that series. I just popped on to read Poison Ivy.
Oh, yeah. What worked for you this week, but last week when we had that Harley digital first, and I was like, Matt, Poison Ivy's in it. Because
I forgot. I made it a point to go get those Birds of Prey issues last week after we were done. So
good, Matt. I'm looking forward to discussing it and seeing where we land on it.
Gotcha.
So that's what's coming up. We'll get to that pretty quickly. There's not a lot of news this week. There is just one small thing that I thought was worth mentioning. They have actually delayed the Green Arrow Annual number 1, which was supposed to come out this month, which means our 5th week this week. Even though we're going to have a book to talk about, we've got a vote, which I've got the winner to announce in a minute of that, actually, before we get to the books.
Weirdly enough.
But yeah, so it's been delayed. So that means this 5th week, all we have is a Supergirl annual and our trade that will win the vote. So it's going to be a quiet 5th week. So if you've got any weird rants or tangents, fellas, hold them in till week 5.
Just on that Green Arrow annual, Percy did tweet.
I was getting to that.
All right.
He always does
Johnny,
this.
Jump the gun.
He always jumps in thinking he's got an update, and I'm like, I know this. I'm getting to it.
Well, you should have just put it all in at once.
No, it's called telling a story. You don't just give everyone the ending they want at first. You start with the down low, and then you give them the rise at the end. It's an arc.
It's not though, is it?
It is. Shut up.
Tell me what Percy said.
Basically, because it's Christmas related, DC wanted to release it closer to Christmas, so it's coming out in November instead. So
that makes me think that it's not part of this hard traveling hero.
Nah, I don't think so.
Across America. Yeah. So that's good though.
No, it's a fair enough reason. It just leaves us a bit light at the end of this month, but I'm sure we'll fill that time with something.
I can tell you one person's happy about that. That's my wife, because DC is completely blown up my comics budget. Like two pieces.
Matt's mortgage is taking a hit because DC Comics keep taking his money.
DDO owes me mortgage.
So yeah, that was the only news that I thought was worth talking about this week. So without further ado, we have a lot of books to talk about, so let's get into it. Actually, no, first things first, I said I was going to announce something there, so let's do that. This is the problem. There's like a weird extra bit that I'm not used to doing. Like I'm too used to steamrolling through the format, you know.
You got to be present. Peter is ?
No, period. No question mark.
Exclamation.
Yes. Yes. What else can you end a sentence with? I feel like we've went through the main ones.
That's about it. Colon. You don't want to end a sentence with the colon.
Well, I don't know. I feel like that's appropriate for the list master.
No. I feel like just Peter is, comma, and then it's unfinished because that's what life is like. It's just an empty void where nothing's ever complete.
That is the anti-life. Right there, just Peter is unfinished.
So yeah, we had the vote. So one of the things we do is that our patrons on the $5 tier get to vote on a trade or a graphic novel or something like that we'll read in the 5th week when there's only a couple of annuals usually. In fact, this month there's only going to be one. And the winner of that vote, and it was very tight, it was very close, but the winner was Green Arrow Year 1. So you should look forward to that. I've not read this before, so I'm excited.
So weirdly, we're missing a Green Arrow annual, but we got voted in a Green Arrow story. So it's like the universe filling itself and patching.
That's true. I'm excited for the Jock art. So
yeah, and it's a great Diggle story as well. I read it like 3 times. So I'm very excited to talk about this.
So yeah, so the reason why we announced this so early compared to when we're actually going to be doing it is to give you guys at home a chance. If you want to read it as well, if you've not read it or you want to reread it, you've got some time to dig it out or acquire it and give it a read. Yeah. So there you go. So that's the thing. And on that note, actually, me and Connor did the first monthly episode. We talked about Superman Earth 1, also a Patreon bonus on there. So we did that this week. You can get that. There's an audio version as well. Sometimes the bonuses are only video, but we made a point of this one also being an audio option.
That's good.
So
it's very nice.
So there you go. That's all happy. Oh, in fact, this isn't new, right? But I've been meaning to do this at the start of the show for like 3 weeks, and I keep forgetting.
You nearly forgot again, even though just before you started, you was like, "I'm going to do it." I wasn't going to say
anything. I was going to let him steamroll it and then bring it up when we were doing comics.
You're an agent of chaos, Matt. Agent of chaos. Yeah. So we have, and for people who actually stick to the end of the show, you'll know this already. But I feel like there's a lot of people who probably just turn it off just before, as we're sort of starting to wrap up. They don't really need to hear all the stuff at the end. You should, though, because sometimes there's little bonus jokes and stuff at the end. It's well worth sticking around to see how I might insult Connor at the 11th hour. But we have a new dedicated comics Twitter for the podcast. We still have @mailed_fuzz for the channel as a whole. I had to think about that. But we now also have @DC Comics Podcast, and it's specifically, it's about the show and tweeting out DC Comics news and stuff like that. There's a lot of things, and it's a bit more discussive and stuff if you want to chat to us on there, as well as our individual Twitters, of course, which we'll pimp all those out at the end if you want those. But so @DC Comics Podcast, new Twitter. I want to get in early, at least 1 week, so people know about it. So there you go.
3rd time's a charm.
Yeah, only took 3 weeks to actually do it.
Yeah, something like that.
Jeez. Okay, so books. First up, we have Mr. Miracle Issue 1, Tom King writing, Mitch Gerads on art. This has been highly anticipated. People have been talking about this for a while. All this build up because Tom King's known for doing these smaller offbeat characters. He did Vision at Marvel. He did was it the Omega Men? Omega Men at DC. So now he's doing Mr. Miracle, and Darkseid is.
Yeah. So people that don't know the Fourth World, Scott Free is the character's name, which is one of my favorite names in comics.
Given what he does, it's quite
because he's
a good name.
Because he's an escape artist. And so in the setup to all this, you kind of have to know, although they explain it, that in order to try to broker peace between New Genesis, which is where the good gods live, and Apocalypse, which is where the bad gods live, and that's Darkseid and his people, they traded kids. So Highfather, the leader of the new gods, I guess, because they're the good guys, and Darkseid gave each other their sons, and that's where Orion comes from, because that's Darkseid's son raised by Highfather.
Well, I think it's interesting that it's a week before this came out, we got that one shot that also kind of
Orion
explained...
story.
Yeah, it kind of explained all this stuff, for the most part. It didn't really talk about Mr. Miracle too much in that book.
No.
But...
And then Mr. Miracle was given to Darkseid, but he just kind of threw him into the pits and was just like, well, if you're worth anything, you'll climb your way out. Whereas Orion was treated as if he was Highfather's own born son. And so it gives this dichotomy. So Scott Free, being the escape artist he is, manages to escape Apocalypse and becomes a superhero.
And from my understanding, he's basically Space Jesus. In the metaphor of the Fourth World Saga.
Yeah, because he was the only son given, right?
Yeah.
Given away, and he's bound to return. And I get a lot of that here from King. King is going with the, not necessarily getting into the mythos of the new gods, but he's definitely using that godly aspect. I can't think of the right word.
Let's also not gloss over the fact that helping him escape from Apocalypse is Barda, who he falls in love with, who's an Apocalypse soldier.
Fury.
Femme Fury, there you go. That's her whole group. But she actually turns good because she falls in love with him, and they end up escaping to Earth. That's kind of the whole origin of these characters.
They were pretty big in Morrison's Justice League of America, and which you have to denote because for the longest time it was just Justice League of America. I don't want to lead people astray. And he was also, I think, big in Morrison's Seven Soldiers. So, like, this is a character that lends himself to these big, like, metaphysical style stories.
Right, and the whole Darkseid I think, comes from Morrison's JLA.
From Morrison. Yeah, from Rock of Ages, which is a JLA story, which is one of the only Morrison JLA stories that I've read straight through. It's that one, and he didn't do Tower of Babel, so ignore that. That was Wade. But it's from that same run. But, yeah, so... Oh man, where to start with Mr. Miracle?
Let's start with what Darkseid is, because I feel like just in case anyone's confused about what Darkseid is actually means. Darkseid is basically the idea that Darkseid is ever present, and it's this, and it kind of ties into this book because obviously we have all these panels, these black panels where it just says Darkseid is, and as the book goes on, they get more frequent to the point where you get towards the end of the book and there's like 5 of them in one page. And that's like, and it feels like it's ticking down. It's like ticking down. It's this
and it's
idea
also in that 9-panel grid, right?
Yeah. After the first few pages, the entire thing's in that.
Yeah. And it's all like ticking down. It's the idea of getting more and more nervous until you're about to like panic. So it's almost like the build up to a panic attack. It's kind of how it sort of came across to me. But the phrase Darkseid is just means that Darkseid is the evil that's always there. It's not Darkseid is coming. Darkseid is already here.
Yeah, it's like Darkseid doesn't need anything to describe him because he's above that. He just is.
He just is. Yeah, it's kind of what Lex wants to be, right? Ever present, and we got kind of shades of that in Johns' Justice League run, where he became the god of New Apocalypse, I believe it was. So yeah, it's something that since Morrison kind of created Darkseid is, anytime the new gods have been brought into a story, it's there. And it's kind of the one piece of continuity that ties the new God stories together. It's just super weird. Like, the way that it's used here. I have so many different takes on it, because I read this twice this week, and that was kind of a mistake, because I understand it less than I did the first time.
I think first things first, I love this issue. I think for me, what it does, it is kind of confusing. It isn't completely clear exactly what's happening necessarily, and I think that's intentional. I think you're supposed to be kind of confused. There's definitely something going on here where reality might be altering. I mean, there's talk, of course, of the anti-life equation and altering people's minds, and there's little hints in here. Barda's eye color, where he's like, "Wait, your eyes are brown. They were always blue," and then she's like, "No, they've always been brown." But then at the end of the issue, she's got blue eyes. There's clear hints that there's some weird.
Which Which, yeah, being familiar with her, I was like, what color are her eyes? And I've tried to look it up, and that's
no
nothing
evidence.
like people. That's nothing artists have worried about or colorists have worried about in the past. So it was hard to go off of. But yeah, so if the anti-life equation, which is what Darkseid's always been after, it's there's life and death, but anti-life isn't death. It's like complete subservience to Darkseid, right? That's how I've always understood it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I mean, I don't have a better explanation for it than that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so this got me thinking that through the story, because we see Mr. Miracle try to escape death. In the first pages, he's trying to commit suicide.
Yeah, it starts with this really dark bang. It's like, no, we're starting this, and later on when he's talking about it, and it's like, oh yeah, I tried to escape one more thing. I tried to escape death, not life, death. I think that's a really interesting way of phrasing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's why I think the 9-panel grid is so effective here, because it's like this. It makes you feel trapped because there's so much on a page. It's claustrophobic, so he feels literally like trapped. Whereas his escape didn't work.
Yeah, or did it put him like escape artists, right? They try to ramp up the danger, so when they finally do escape, it looks like it's a thing of magic or a miracle here because it's a superhero name, and. So I almost feel like we're going to be getting kind of a trick to all of this by the time it's done. And because there's a whole 9-panel grid of him doing a trick. And it goes really ghastly because it's him in the tank. And then it looks like the tank gets filled with blood and then he appears on the outside. So it's like Peter brought up that it's ominous, the whole Darkseid is, because that page is interspersed. Every other panel is Darkseid is, right?
What I love about it is just how foreboding the whole issue is. It feels like something dark is really on the horizon here. We're in a really dark place, and it feels apocalyptic. Not to pun with apocalypse.
Not the weird spelling that Kirby created for it.
It feels bigger than it actually is. This great sense of like I say, foreboding. This brooding tone to the whole thing, where it feels kind of depressing.
Almost Lovecraftian.
Yeah, Lovecraft. That's a good. Yeah, it feels like Cthulhu's coming. Except in this case, Cthulhu's Darkseid.
Which that's kind of a perfect thing. I listened to a podcast this week at work. I have a lot of free time to listen to stuff because I'm by myself, and I listened to a podcast about Cthulhu and Lovecraft, and it was kind of weird how that happened on the week that I read Mr. Miracle. Which that's what made me want to reread it because I picked up on that foreboding, even though I wasn't aware of it the first time. Right, so that got my brain going, and then. But, that's kind of what Cthulhu is and Darkseid is. They're ever present, and they're there. And it wouldn't surprise me if we never get to see Darkseid throughout this. If we just see the goings on. Yeah, because you have Glorious Godfried, who he's one of the minions of Darkseid. And in some versions, he's a, talk show host spreading Darkseid propaganda. Here, he's a night show host that looks a lot like Conan O'Brien, which that cracked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
It's basically it's actually, as I say, I love, obviously the art's great throughout. Gerads is great, but I love the effect on those pages where it's like it's showing you something's not quite right. It's like a distorted video feed. Those panels.
Yeah, it's that's it. It's got you can always hear you can see the VHS.
Yeah,
I can feel the static, right? Like when you watch an old VHS, and it gets that staticky sound and the waviness, like Connor was just pointing out. You feel something's not quite right.
I don't think, I don't really feel like this interview is something that actually takes place. At least not in, on Earth, it feels like more of an introspective thing that's happening.
Yeah, because why would, if King's taking a chance that not people aren't not familiar with the New Gods, why make it Godfrey? So that means it would be something that Scott is trying to process, so that's who he goes to, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this book. It is dense.
Yeah, you mentioned the art there. I think this issue shows how versatile Gerads is. There's so much different stuff going on. If you go, the very first page, it's all the Ben-Day dots that make it up, and then obviously you got the video effect on that one, and there's all sorts of things going on throughout the issue.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. It does change quite a lot, whenever he's in costume and it's looking really colourful, but when he's sitting there on the couch and he's looking depressed, he's got the bandages on, there's just this moodiness to it, it just feels desolate and cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because everything's blue, and then when Orion pops up, right, and he's bright and colorful until he enters that room, and then it even takes him over.
But I like how, even though like Orion and Scott, they're both wearing red, but even when they're in the same room, Orion's is visibly brighter, even though it looks like it's probably the same type of red.
Yeah. Right. Going back to this weird reality, he's kind of like shifting. He's in two timelines or something like that. Oberon, who's like dead in one, like Bard is like, no, he died of cancer. Like he's gone, but like he just
made the decision to pull the plug.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, is he in like two timelines or is he just seeing something? But like it's not even like he. As soon as, even when he's told, he's like, no, that didn't happen. He was just here.
No, he's just here. Yeah. And he tells the story from the beginning about the kids that were told to draw, and the one kid drew God, and the teacher's like, that's not what God looks like. And the kid replies like, what, not yet? Or how do you know?
It is now or something?
It is now, yeah. Which one of my friends theorized that could be a story about Jack Kirby.
The line was until now. That was how I responded at the end of that little story. He's like, until now.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my friends brought up that could be a story about Jack Kirby, because he was very interested in drawing gods and whatnot, and it seems to fit in along those lines.
Yeah, it does.
And obviously you get the full page Darkseid as right after he finds out that Highfather's been killed, and that they need to go back to New Genesis for war. Because
I almost expected that to be the final page.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like when I turned there was more. And there was more, I was kind of surprised.
It's interesting, because it's almost like it's past that line where it's like, okay, the panic's there, the thing he was worried about most has kind of happened, so now it's like post that, okay, and it's obviously them going through the mother box, and it's like that's why I'm saying that close up at the end of Bardi, you can clearly see her eyes are blue,
her eyes are blue,
which contradicts the story earlier on. So
her eyes have always been brown.
I like how you say after that moment where they go, right, okay, this is what we've got to do. It's brighter. It's like they've got past it and accepted it almost.
Yeah.
I wanted to point that out too. It's also because so according to Orion, Darkseid's gotten the anti-life equation, or according to Highfather, not Orion, and because they were talking on New Genesis, walking along the beach, and then he gets the call from Orion that Highfather's been killed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it almost makes you wonder, like, if this is a thing where it's playing with realities, like, is one that Darkseid has gotten it and one hasn't, and he's jumping back between both of them? Like, or is it like a relief that Darkseid has gotten the anti-life because he's changed reality? Like, I don't... This is where my brain takes me, and then I'm like, what is going on? I have no...
Well, it was the question, like, if he's jumping between two realities, is it because he tried to kill himself, and that's put him in this weird place? Because of who he is, because he's this new god, that's what's done it. His try to kill himself has created this rift where he's travelling between these two worlds. Or is it because Darkseid has the anti-life equation that's causing this?
Right.
Or
because I also...
Or even if it's Mr. Miracle did it himself, is he stumbled upon the anti-life equation? Is that what he's done?
I think, here's my theory after reading it twice, is he is the anti-life equation. He is the embodiment of it, right? Because his whole thing is to put himself in an impossible situation and then get out of it. So he's almost what's the word I'm looking for? Something that's there that's not supposed to be. An anomaly, right? And
like
so that's why he... That's why he always has to get away from Darkseid, and that's why he doesn't want to go fight Darkseid, because if Darkseid does finally figure all of that out, then he has the anti-life.
There's also this recurring theme where someone knocks him down and tells him to stand, and then he gets up and says standing. Because Orion does it, and then at the end Bardo does it as well. It's like when he's showing to be weak in some way, because that's what Orion shows up to do. He's like, no, you've been weak, you've tried to do this to yourself. So he comes to like smack some strength into him, essentially. And then Bardo does it once again at the end to sort of give him courage before it's time to go. So
when Bardo does it, though, it feels like a thing they did on Apocalypse, and that's why Orion tries it to him. But even though Orion's from Apocalypse, he isn't. He just has that tie. So when she gets mad at him, it's like, well, no, you you haven't earned the right to do that to him. Like, you have no idea what we're going through. Because they've experienced the horrors of Darkseid firsthand.
Yeah, Barda gets pissed. She's like, oh, we didn't have the luxury of pillows on Apocalypse.
Right.
I think was one of the lines she said.
Yep.
So,
yeah, this just makes me, like, I really like, I don't like the New Gods like Tim does. Like, he's really about them.
Yeah.
But this makes me want to read some more of those things because it's such a high concept. It kind of speaks to that, the part of me that really loves Thor seems like I would really love the New Gods.
There's a sale on Comixology right now until Monday with the original stuff from Kirby.
Good to know.
Might be worth looking into that if you are wanting to.
Have to track down, because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
There is.
Where to start?
Well,
That
there's
basically
a cycle.
That sums up getting into comic books in general. Though, really is like, where do I start?
Yeah, but this is a
does,
specific. This is a specific thing because most of the time, DC kind of ignores the New Gods unless they really need to. So you get John's using them in that Justice League run, but really only Darkseid because he's attacking on multiple reality fronts. Like we're kind of even getting that in the Justice League movie with Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like Highfather and Orion, like they're kind of there, but we don't use them until
it really is just
all of the
Apocalypse
options.
that gets used, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because he's an easy villain to do. I think for a lot of people who don't really delve into the New Gods stuff, you can just treat Darkseid, oh, he's this big bad who's on this planet who wants to take over Earth, and that's just it. You can leave it be that simple, and it kind of works, and it's fine, yeah, sure, if you don't want to delve into this. But there is this more stuff to it. There is all this Mr. Miracle, and escaping from Apocalypse, and Orion and Highfather, and this never-ending war, and the anti-life equation. It's all this extra stuff that once you do start diving into it, it's quite in depth. It's quite hefty. Yeah. It's almost intimidating to start approaching it.
That's it. Yeah, intimidating is the right word.
Yeah,
it is like Darkseid. Maybe that's what Darkseid means. It's just the New Gods stuff, and it's always there staring at you.
Just people try and ignore it, but really DC knows it's there. We're gonna have to acknowledge it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to say actually one of my favourite panels of the book is actually the image of Barda in the hospital waiting room with the other regular people, but she's in full costume.
Yeah, she's got her face down. Like
she's crying.
Definitely distressed.
So, I actually really love their relationship. It's just very interesting because she's this big tough soldier of a woman, but she's fallen for this person who has shown her other ways. There's a really nice relationship there.
Yeah. And the art too. We've gone on and on about it, but it is really Gerads. Like, you guys are big fans of the Rooftop Story. I like the art there. Here, I think it works a little better because it's not as dark and it has a little bit more mood to it. But him and King, I don't think can do much wrong.
Yeah, it definitely makes me want to go check out Sheriff of Babylon, which was obviously the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. This is an excellent start. Like I'm excited about how big this feels. This feels like an epic story that's just starting.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where it goes. And I think it was one of them. I don't know if it may have been Gerads rather than King, but I think one of them said on Twitter that this is basically New Gods Rebirth. So, and it is in continuity. They said that there's going to be big things coming from this potentially afterwards.
I'm down. It does feel like the sort of thing I'd expect to be in the Fourth World saga. Like, it feels like a continuation of that stuff. Whereas, like we said, a lot of the stuff they do with Darkseid, it's like, okay, that's definitely the DC stuff rather than the Fourth World stuff.
Because when they've tried to incorporate them more into the superhero realm, you get stuff like Countdown and Death of the New Gods, and you watch Darkseid die like 3 different times, and none of them were of the same moment. And then you had him die again in Final Crisis, which felt like that was a proper New God story, just because it had this big epic feel. So the fact that he's going to try to rebirth them, because we even got, they talked about the Justice League here being worried about Scott and Superman.
Yeah, they mentioned Clark flying outside his window. Yeah. So
the fact that Barda and Miracle are members of the Justice League at some point, But then again, if this is a rebirth, then they can hit reset after all of this. And now it's just the New Gods, and that's what they are proper. But dense.
Yeah, very dense. Exciting. Obviously, we're going to be doing the rest of the series
Yeah.
So
Do you know what, considering I thought Matt was relatively down going in, like Matt was saying, I didn't not like it, but early impressions felt like he didn't really love it the same extent me and Peter did. He seemed to be very into it in that discussion still.
I feel
I'm still into it. Like, it just, when it comes to stuff that's more ethereal and like, I like straight to the point stories. That's why I like pulp stories, right? Because it's good, bad, easy, like caveman drawing comics. Like, that's what I like. And again, that's what draws me to superheroes. And here, when you start to make things a little more shadowy and they blend together, I don't know how to take it. So I was just like, well, no, I need good guy, bad guy here, guys. Come on. And that's definitely not what this book's not about.
The fact
it's
that
definitely
though,
much more.
is that I think what's clear though is as soon as Matt started to actually talk about what was in the book, it seems like his interest shot up as he was theorizing.
Yeah.
It's almost like, Matt, when it comes to stuff like this, and this is not just comics, I'm just thinking of what your tastes are in movies and TV and whatever, is when something is a bit more abstract, you tend to be against it initially.
Yes.
But then once you actually start talking about it, it's almost like you realise why everyone else likes it. That's some exceptions.
It's like when you're reading or watching, you're not really thinking about it. Then once you're talking about it and you're in the discussion, you engage your brain. It's like, oh, I get it now.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Think about it as you're reading it or watching it, as whatever the case may be, I guess, is my advice.
No, good guy, bad guy fight. That's what I need.
You're a simple man, Matt.
That's it. If we ever do shirts, that's what I need. That's my shirt.
No, it's not. We've got a shirt for you already. It's this one.
Ah, son of a bitch.
For the audio people,
I'll show you good guy, bad guy fight right now.
For the audio people, the Connor Kent button has been initiated on the screen. For those who are not familiar
imaginary.
with
I'm telling you guys. Just wait. Hey, that's a nice segue into tech.
Maybe it is. I almost want to edit a black screen in here just saying Connor isn't. Just before we go into the next review. I'll probably forget and not do it, but just in case I don't,
you better do it.
I want people to know that I thought of it, just so that you've got the idea in your head. That'll take us on to Detective Comics 962, James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez, and this was wrapping up the current arc with Ascalon and Azrael and all that jazz, and a lot of it did amount to like a sort of big fight in the Belfry. Everyone sort of congregates there, fight gets going.
Clayface takes some licks, man. Tynion loves to destroy Clayface.
Poor Clayface, he does get the shit beat out of him. It's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame.
Yeah, he just reforms though. I get it. I would do the same if I could, you know.
I thought this was a strong conclusion to maybe not our favourite arc of the book, but solid enough.
Honestly, I think this issue kind of really solidified my problem with the arc as a whole. It's that it feels that it's these very two disparate, separate stories. You know, you got the Batman Zatanna stuff, and you've got the Ascalon stuff, and they don't really feel like they interact. And here, it's just like suddenly they're pushed together.
I kind of feel like, how do they fare if Batman was fighting Ascalon along with Jean Paul early on? You know, like maybe they could have gotten like. If Batman was there, maybe they wouldn't have had to fight Jean Paul. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe.
So maybe that'll come up later. I ended up really liking this arc, which is weird for me because it deals with the whole idea of Batman being the savior and being that tying bind for Jean Paul. But you get a super cool image of this big gigantic cloud bat that looks cool. It looked like when. I think Scarecrow sees him in Batman Begins when he's under the fear gas.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that version, so that was pretty cool. I liked all that, and then it kind of at the end, it really was a Deus Ex Machina, and because it is the God Machine, like. So if that was,
I mean, it is, but to be fair, they set it up. Is it that?
It's not that satisfying.
I feel like it didn't build like with the two separate plots. Like they're just suddenly together and they solve each other sort of thing, but they didn't build to it. Like you literally have Batman and Zatanna teleport in, and it's like, oh, okay, we're part of this now.
Well, they did that last issue, but
right, but
yeah. That said, though, you did fist pump a little bit, though, at the final little message that Ascalon says before because obviously he gets given the sphere, and it shows him the truth, and he sort of like realizes the error of his ways, of all his coding and everything he's been built to believe, and he's like, okay, we need to go and do things, and when I say we, he's talking to basically his inner child that we've been seeing in these sort of in the head sequences, and just before he goes, he's like, "Oh, Batman! All that turmoil you've been going through, that the loss of that one boy has been driving you so much recently. He's alive, by the way. Timothy Drake is alive." And then he vanishes, and Batman's left there on his knees. I can't lie, I really like that moment because it's
as did I, but I also forgot that Batman doesn't know that Tim's alive and he thinks he's dead. So I was like, "Yeah, duh." Oh wait, in story. So, yeah,
God, you're an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
I like that moment a lot. I think it raises the stakes that Batman now knows that Tim's not dead. Like the fact that they know he's somewhere is interesting, and it wouldn't surprise me if the next couple of issues before we start the next one issue actually we'll get one left before Lonely Place of Living is what the arc's called, where Tim comes back next month. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, you know, it's like Batman looking into that, like, where could he be? What's going on? And maybe that's how Tim actually, or at least partly how Tim gets out, because there's someone from the other side trying to break in to get him.
Looking for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is intentional the method be or won't be? Maybe that's what gives him the edge.
And we already know that in that arc we get to see who his cellmates have been. So, yeah.
Well, wait, just to clarify, we know that we find out who his cellmate is. We don't actually know what his cellmate is yet.
No. Yeah. But in that arc,
yes,
we will find out.
We will, yes. Just like in the Action Comics arc, we'll find out who Mr. Oz is, yes.
Exactly. I feel like, you know, this is a term, because obviously Batman's had a dead Robin for a while again now.
Yeah.
And it's
What's Batman without a dead Robin? That's
right, so Duke's next, yeah. It's close enough.
What you mean is the character's getting an original series that's, you know, an ongoing...
It's only 3 issues.
It's a dead signal. It's a dead signal. Huh?
What's this 3 issues business? When did they say it was 3 issues?
I read an article the other day about it that said it was 3 issues, because it's co-written by one of the guys from Snyder and one of the DC's Writers Workshop thing.
Right, okay.
I think it's one of them.
All I know is that's the most Snyder thing ever. To make this big deal about the signal and just be like, nope, you're gone. Hit that eject button.
Right, it's basically what happened with Harper Row.
Yeah,
and I liked Harper, so that was annoying.
Me too. If Harper Row ended up being the signal, I would be much more...
She's off at university. She's coming back. She's coming back for summer.
Speaking of the signal, by the way, we got the new costume this week, actually. I forgot about that. We got this image of his new outfit.
Yeah.
He's the day man.
He's the fighter of the night man.
Yeah. So that cracked me up. I don't even watch that show, but I get that reference. So after I said he's Day Batman, and I think it was James that fixed it to Dayman, that killed me.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like his look at the minute. You know the yellow biker outfit.
Oh no, I hate the biker look. I hate it with a passion.
I don't mind. I liked his We Are Robin, where he was just essentially wearing a leather jacket that had Robin on it. Like, he felt much more street level, and I feel like we're kind of missing the street level Batman characters right now. So it would have been nice to put him there, and maybe that's the plan, or maybe he's, going to get thrown into the sun for all we know. I don't know.
The new outfit is a little bit Wolverine looking, but it does look better than the current one, I think.
I'm not a fan. I prefer the current one. I really don't like the helmet on the new one.
I think the helmet's the best part.
It's not working for me.
I like it. I like the pointy chin bits.
Back to tech. We get Ascalon cutting and running, right? We find out that it's Jean Paul's brother.
That's right. Yeah, that was a revelation.
How is the Machine his brother?
Because
you find out that Jean Paul's dad is the one that's behind all this.
Because Jean Paul Senior coded both of them, so that makes them both his children. That's what I got from it.
Well, that's what I got too. But at first, I was just like, well, they're definitely taking this inner child thing a step farther than I thought they were.
This is a strange family. When can we have a sitcom about them?
Yeah.
Jean Paul and Ascalon
Yeah, we get the Azrael batsuit back, right? And then it goes right away because he wants to fix his suit of sorrows, which I'm not a big fan of. I like the Azrael batsuit.
I think I get that decision though. I think I get the decision to not want to have the Azrael suit look like a Batman suit. I think I get that reasoning. I think just in terms of making him his own character, making him feel different. Even though he's still got the Batman coding in there, which makes him part Batman. So he's like
it'd be
an ally,
nice to have it around for a little while rather than just the one issue, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too fussed.
It does look cool. Like it's got the big old talons on it. Like, man,
you can't not like it, can you?
It's okay.
No.
We do see we see Ra's al Ghul at the end of the issue go after Jean-Paul Senior. They're working some sort of alliance, and it wouldn't surprise me because this is the second time I've seen Ra's al Ghul this arc. In the flashback, he was there to see Zatara, so it wouldn't surprise me if something's brewing with the three of them now. Yeah,
so we know that the colony is still kind of in play, right? Because that didn't really get washed up with the League of Shadows. And we know that Ra's al Ghul wants to push the League. Like, he wants his own League of Shadows because that got out of his hand. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to try to mix magic and technology and create some unholy union going forward.
Yeah, I could see that. It does make me question, though, that flashback with Zatara was like, however many years ago, and then this scene at Tyr's present day, at least seemingly, with Jean-Paul Senior, and I'm like, how long's he been getting this plan going?
I'm intrigued as to whose plan it is, because he talks about our organization and our benefactor, like, so it's not the League.
Vandal Savage.
Could be.
Oz.
Just throw names out.
Could be Oz. This could all be
Oz.
I mean,
if Oz was I don't know. Roz would be a perfect guy to work with Mr. Oz.
Yeah.
Because they both kind of share this strength through, cutting out the bad.
I want to point out my favourite moment of this issue, actually. Outside of the Tim, obviously, revelation. That was obviously a great moment. But Zatanna's, like, flying outside, like, zapping robots with magic. And Kate says, I want to marry her. And then Cass just says, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Cass is killing me.
Cass is great. Cass's moments in every issue, like, in the last, like, I don't know, 6 months, has been, like, phenomenal. So...
For real. And that... So I like that they've been able to take these side characters that people kind of forgot about, like Stephanie Brown. She got a nice arc.
I don't think anyone forgot about Steph or Cass, though. That's maybe a wee bit phrase.
Maybe Cass. I feel like because Steph had the whole, the whole initiative to bring it back, but no one really did that for Cass.
No, and that's what I mean. Like, they thought they could just give us Barbara Gordon's Batgirl and be like, okay, here you guys go. You got a Batgirl. It's like, we've had two other ones.
Matters. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. There we go.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
But Stephanie Brown got this cool spoiler-specific, arc, and even Tim got a cool, because not that he was forgotten, but he's been kind of left in favor of Damian. Like, he doesn't have his own book. He was like one of the only Robins without his own book at a point.
Who?
So, Tim.
But Tim's the only one that had his own book for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm talking recently. I'm talking Nightwing had his book. Damian had a book.
Did Damian have a book? Did Damian have?
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Damian Batman.
That's Batman and Robin, though. Tim had a Robin book for like a decade.
Yeah, but I see what Matt's saying. He's saying during like the New 52 time period.
Okay, sure, New 52. Okay, I get what you mean there. Right?
And onwards from there, like round about that. Like,
actually, Matt, Teen Titans. He had Teen Titans.
Yeah, but that's
not really
an
Tim.
Ensemble book, isn't it? And it was. That's it.
It's not really Tim.
That wasn't really Tim, though. We all know that.
Whereas, in defense of the Batman and Robin one, Batman had a bunch of other solo, but he had Detective and Batman alone before you consider anything else. So Batman and Robin really was Damian's book, and it was Batman playing off Damian rather than being about the pair of them.
Sure, technicalities.
I'm just saying, like, and now my whole point was to roundabout, not to argue all that, was we've gotten all these arcs with all these secondary characters that Batman's there, but he doesn't factor in as much. Batwoman and Tim got that first one, and then there was the Monster Men that they all had to work together. Clayface is getting some shine, and Cassandra's getting some shine. It's nice. Like, it really is an ensemble book, and that's why I like reading this one so much.
Yeah, no, tech's great, and even though I think Batman's starting to outshine it in terms of just like pure storytelling, this has got a better cast of characters for me to like come back to every issue.
Yeah.
Luke Fox even. Like, maybe like him.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't care about him before this. Like, I tried to read his Batwing, and it didn't land. But Tynion seems to know what's up, so he can keep writing this as long as he wants.
Yeah, alright, okay. There's Detective. That'll take us on to Action Comics 985. Rob Williams writing, Guillem March on art. Now, we spoke
Guys,
about...
the late 90s are back in this book.
We spoke...
This felt like a late 90s Superman book if I've ever read one.
We spoke when this was announced that there was going to be a couple of issues without the usual team, without Jurgens. And I'd forgotten about it until I opened the book, and I went, oh yeah, I vaguely remember this. And
well, you say that, but I missed that episode where you discussed that, so I didn't know this at all. I'd missed this news entirely.
When did Jurgens suddenly become crap?
So no.
Words were?
I went to read this. It was going to be the first issue I read. I was like, oh yeah, I'll start with Action Comics. I like Action Comics. Opened it up, saw Williams and March, and just went, nope, I'm reading something else.
So, I used to like Guillem March's. Is it Guillem?
Guillem? Yeah,
William?
I think so.
Guillem March. I used to like his art when he was doing some of the Gotham books. I think it lends itself to darkness, just with the way that he does layouts.
You can hide the shittiness.
Yeah. He should never be allowed to draw Superman again. And that might sound harsh.
No.
But
the very first page is atrocious.
Well, and then there's the page after that where he's in like this weird contorted... When he's above the sub in the air?
No, that's actually my bigger problem with the art, is actually the body posing. That's
right,
That's the biggest thing I've got.
Look at his abs on that very first page, and like, what is going on there?
Yeah. It's just not my thing. Like...
Yeah, like there's weird things like you say above the submarine. He's got this weird thing where he's top of his. He almost looks like Mr. I'll pick a DC character. I was going to say Mr. Fantastic, but no. Plastic Man. He almost looks like Plastic Man, like sticking his neck out. That's what it kind of looks like.
I mean, even
Matt,
on that same page, on that same page, the bottom panel where it's just him flying forward and it's his face. I think that just looks ugly as shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that panel doesn't bother me as much. Like I mean, I get why it's not nice, but it's the top of that page that's like freaking me out.
Oh, that's worse. Don't get me wrong.
Or even the next page where, admittedly, I do enjoy that he's bitch slapped a wolf. Like that actually is kind of funny. But
it looks ugly.
He did.
Yeah.
He backhanded the shit out of that dog, man.
You say he backhanded. It looks like the front of his hand still to me because of the way it's twisted.
No, he has it down pointed. Like he's doing the Naruto run.
Also,
and the only reason I know that is because kids at school do it and have to yell at him.
Also,
so
actually, no. To me, it looks like he's a figure skater, and he's just like he's just copped one of his poses. This is his ending stance.
No, look, because his thumb is down that way, so he's actually gone like that. So he's still hit with the front of his hand.
Your hand went off screen. No one could see that.
No. Look, but he did that. That's the motion.
It's that one. Yeah, it's the motion.
But it's still the front of his hand.
No, he backhanded. He went like this and then turned it.
Yeah.
Because of momentum.
Yeah, the impact.
He's throwing a frisbee.
Yeah, the impact to the face of the wolf made his hand flip.
But wait,
this is Superman.
If you're throwing a frisbee, you wouldn't throw it like that. So I think Connor's onto something.
Connor's never onto anything. Don't empower him.
This is just poor art, is what it is.
Yeah. That said, the Machinist was surrounded by robotic animals. I kind of liked, which is what made me think of.
Matt, they're not robotic animals. They're regular animals that are being controlled by robotics.
No, go to that page where you first see the Machinist. That wolf was made.
There's 2 robotic wolves and 2 real wolves.
And then he does the same with the tigers later in.
Oh,
There's robotic tigers.
Okay, I'm copping that up to the art because I never noticed those were robotic wolves before.
Oh yeah, no, I noticed automatically. And then you got the one just chilling up there like a cat.
I think that tells you how bad this art is. The fact that Pete just assumed that they were regular wolves.
Well, that's what I mean. It felt like the late 90s again. Like before I was reading comics like I do now, and I would find them in the newsstand, and so I would just buy them. this is what a lot of that felt like.
As much as we're kind of shitting on a lot of this right now, I didn't actually hate this issue. Right?
I liked the story.
Yeah.
The story was good.
I thought there was a couple of character beats that felt a little bit, just the writing was a little bit, like, Superman was a bit too angry when he thought Lex was, Lois's worrying at the start felt a bit weird, especially when she pointed out the arc in Superman. Oh, I know we just went on a vacation, but you really need to take some time off. That felt really weird. Like,
the dialogue is super clumsy and very, like, expositional. Like, when people complain about Jeff Johns' exposition, I'm going to hand him this and go, no, Johns is fine. This is... But yeah, I liked the whole first narration from Lex.
Yeah, see when it gets to Lex, see when it's Superman and Lex is... I think that's actually the one place where the art kind of works, is he does a really good Lex being smug face.
Yep.
And that was working for me. Because Lex is being old school Lex, and I actually love that he shows up. He's flying outside it's the classic shot. Superman's floating outside of Lex's penthouse or the top of his business tower, and Lex is like, "Hey, Superman, we don't do that anymore." Like,
no, yeah.
I like that line.
When was the last time we saw Lex in green with the purple tie?
It's been a long time.
Exactly. So
it's been a long time because even when he was evil business Lex, it's always been a black suit with like a red or a blue tie. The green. It's been so I liked seeing that. That again, it made it feel throwback. But
obviously the reason why he goes to Lex is because the chips that the machinist is using is based on Lex tech. So he goes blaming Lex, and Lex is like, "No, I didn't do this." Which admittedly is a little bit annoying how similar it is to Green Arrow's last issue.
And how much better the Green Arrow issue was.
Oh, of course it was.
This.
Yeah.
Like it just Percy and Williams there's kind of a reason Williams is on Suicide Squad.
But that's
I don't get it though. Like you have, when he shows up, you have that page of him, panel of him screaming Luthor, and then 3 pages later, you've got him going, a team up then.
Yeah, he's like smelling and saying a team up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's too angry at the start of that scene, and I actually, like I said, I do like kind of the fun kind of like it feels like a throwaway story. It's kind of okay to see the machinist back. I guess it's one of the John's creations of the New 52, so that's why it's sticking around. But it's okay, it all builds to this cliffhanger where Lex gets overtaken with one of the chips because Machinist has got little fly nano versions that fly around.
And it's a super chip that if you try to destroy it, it's going to kill Lex.
Yeah.
So Superman can't just heat vision it off.
So
which are also what are they called? There's something ticks. Is it machine ticks?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up because it's a really goofy name.
Yeah, I don't got an answer for you. But like
mind ticks. Mind ticks.
I did have kind of fun with the plot. I like Lex. It does fall down a lot more though when you compare it to that last issue of Green Arrow. Especially, it's just kind of weird that Green Arrow ended with Superman telling Lex that. Well, not telling Lex, but it definitely felt like they're in a better place right now, and this feels kind of weird coming right after it. And
I feel like Superman was waiting for a reason to yell at Lex, like he's just been chomping at the bit, versus in Green Arrow where he's just kind of keeping an eye on him, and if he steps out of line, he'll be right there to kind of talk him like, "Hey, what's going on, man? You're not acting like yourself lately." This
felt like it was more, not that Percy's subtle, but that felt like more like a
definitely not.
That felt more like Superman where he's just keeping an eye on it, Whereas this felt like more. No, he's just waiting. He's like the angry person waiting for him to mess up so he can bust in and tell him what's for, which feels on Superman. So that said, though, like you say, it felt very 90s. It did have some fun elements to it, and I'm not necessarily like angry that I'm going to have to read another issue of this before we get back to the main thing. Connor over there is looking angry as hell. Though.
This is one of those examples where you two have said a few times where. If the story's all right, you can overlook bad art.
Yeah.
But I can't. When it's like this, I just get angry, and it infects the story for me. So I look at this issue, and I just get angry.
Yeah.
And I just hate it.
I've read far worse that made me want to throw stuff.
I've also seen
this
far worse art.
This didn't make me want to throw it.
This to me isn't like the worst art ever. It's just really Goofy's 90s art.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I found when all the missiles come up, like I found it really hard to follow that page. Like I actually struggled to follow what was going on and where things were happening.
Get good.
No, I shouldn't have to. This should be clear. This should be. It's a basic action sequence. It should be clear as to what's going on.
I see it. I had no problem with that. I'm looking back at Reddit right now, and it reads like a normal comic. Like, you follow the descending action. Like, Lex gets hit, then you follow him down, and then Superman gets hit. So
I don't know. Maybe it's just so much of a mess that I struggled.
yeah, I just don't think you like Yellow March that much.
I really
Like,
don't.
Yeah. So,
But
Look,
there's
Matt,
so many
what give-
explosions on that page that I think that's what was throwing me off. I was like, right, what's happening where because of all of them?
Do you know, Matt? I'm starting to suspect that Connor didn't like this issue that much. Just
me
a
too.
sneaking feeling.
And I went in because this is the last thing I read, and I was waiting to hate it, and then when I didn't, I was like, oh well.
Oh no,
It's by far the worst thing I read this week.
Oh no,
Oh,
oh no, I did leave the
like I
worst
said,
for last, and we'll get to that a bit later.
Yeah, I opted out of that one, so
yeah.
that may have been worse. I'm not disputing that.
See,
That's what I said. The worst.
Connor's talking about this issue is how I felt about the one we're going to get to.
Honestly though, I thought this was mediocre, but I still had an okay time with it. Like, I didn't hate I wasn't angry when I finished it. I was like, oh my god, that was terrible. I was like, that was just a fun, goofy, old school Superman story, whatever. I'll read the next one, it'll be fine. Then we can get to the meat next month with the Oz effect. So we're cool.
Oh man,
I really like the variant. The variant cover's real nice.
I like this. I like the cover on. Well, no, I didn't like the cover on this one. I'm thinking of something else. Definitely, the variant's much better. Hooey.
All right, that'll take us on to the Flash because Wonder Woman got delayed. I'm so used to going to Wonder Woman after Action Detective, but we're going to the Flash number 28. Joshua Williamson writing and Carmine D. Giadomenico on art. And this is the start of the negative Flash arc, which obviously comes right out of the last arc, where that's where you got these negative powers. So basically, the gist of this is that Barry, his powers are uncontrollable right now. He's kind of like fluctuating. He's also seems to have a bit more of a temper as well. But
yep.
He's chasing after these bad guys on these fancy bikes, and they're trying to rob an armored car. But by the time he finishes, he looks back and he's ruined the street behind him. There's like cars flipped all over the place. There's fire everywhere. He's just caused nothing.
Looks like the
chaos.
Hulk has gone through Central City.
Yeah, kinda, yeah. And that's that. So it's that him trying to control that stuff, and then on top of that we have what's this villain that came back? I forget his name.
Shrapnel.
Shrapnel, yeah. So we got Shrapnel's back in the city. He's causing trouble. That's kind of the big cliffhanger. And then meanwhile, in his sort of day job sort of plot line, because he's not really speaking to Iris right now. He wants to speak to Iris. He's feeling shitty about everything that's went down. But Captain Sign sort of brings him in, and it's like, okay, we've got a leak. Someone in the department is leaking evidence, and it's causing all these problems with all the cases. All these criminals are walking free. So he gets Barry and a couple of other trusted detectives. Right, you guys need to solve this problem. You need to look for what this leak is, who's the mole, whatever. Find it, and it's that was kind of the issue. That was the, and I thought it was a decent issue. I didn't love it.
No, I do like what Williamson's saying though about the negative Speed Force. Like, I don't necessarily think it's a thing. I think it's just Barry's mindset. I feel like he's gonna center himself, and it's gonna go away. But it's
Probably.
something that he's going to have to keep in check.
I think for me the issue was decent. I like what it's setting up, but it felt kind of lacking as a full issue of a comic. Like, see when I got to the last page and it said, "Oh, cliffhanger next time on," I'm like, "Oh, really? We're done?"
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I hadn't got a full serving of a story, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Shrapnel's got such a weird look to him too.
He does.
I didn't like looking at him. Like, turns page quick.
Yeah. His face is a little strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the first half of the issue especially. I think it's the art is just fantastic when he's running through and the city's destroyed. I love when when he runs off and the symbol just kind of hangs in the air. That was quite nice. I like the full page spread where he looks back and he sees the chaos behind him. That's a really nice page. Yeah,
that's a really nice.
Well,
page.
you also got his lightning blowing up the armored truck that he was trying to save.
Yeah,
so it's completely unpredictable, and I like that. That's where his mind is right now. He doesn't know what's going on. Usually Barry has it all together, and he can balance life as the Flash and as Barry Allen. And that's why he's always late, because that's his one problem, is keeping schedule.
Yeah.
And then here, Singh didn't even notice he was late when he called him in because he thought he was going to get a butt chewing. And it's because of the leaking. And they put him with that girl. I can't remember her name. But she's
Kristen.
Yeah, with Kristen and the two detectives because they don't want internal affairs brought in. And I like that. I like that Singh recognizes that, yeah, Barry's like one of the best CSIs we have despite his, tardiness issues.
Yeah, it's kind of like he does get the job done to an excellent standard, so it kind of excuses it and lets him.
And of course, here at the end of the issue, he after this meeting with Sign and all that, he goes outside, and even though he repeatedly said at the start, after the whole chaos and then the opening of the issue, he goes into the alley. He's like, I can't use my powers anymore; it's too dangerous. So he gets the bus back to work, right? So he's really late because he gets the bus. He's not even got his super speed to use. But he sees these bikers again after outside the station, and he gets so taunted by the fact they're doing it right in front of the station that he just immediately suits up and races off after them, causing more chaos.
Welcome to being me. It's the little things that set you off when you're in a bad mood. It's like the guy that's chewing too loud at the movies behind you. For Barry, it's these guys parading in front of the police station. And yeah, the fact that this is only 3 issues means that I think he's going to resolve it quick. I don't think the negative Speed Force is something that's hanging around too long, but I like that it'll be an addition to the Flash mythos going forward because I like it as a concept. It might be something he has to keep in check. Yeah, going forward.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think this is a fine issue. In the same way I say it left me kind of feeling like I didn't get a whole sort of full course, as it were. I feel kind of similar in terms of talking about it. I almost feel like I have nothing left to. Really...
I feel it's a very simple issue to discuss because not that much happens. Like you say, it's okay. We set up that this is a problem, but it never really develops beyond that. We set up that the leak is a problem, but nothing happens with it.
Yeah.
We don't get anything to actually
we set up that there's a villain here. We find out who it is at the end, but we end there before we actually get to the end of the fighting or.
Right, so we're told that these things are what this arc is going to be, but we don't see any of it in this issue.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird one in that sense, but it's definitely setting up some interesting stuff. So that'll take us on to Titans number 14, Dan Abnett writing, Brett Booth on art. This was an issue about pizza and poisoned pizza and what a team must do to make sure that this doesn't happen again. No one else having fun with the pizza jokes. Okay.
No.
So I mean that is accurate, but basically it mixed what with the cliffhanger from last time, which is okay. One of us is a traitor, and Nightwing breaks out some gear that he had from Spiral, which is going to analyze them all and see if any of them was being corrupted in terms of a psychic kind of invasion. Meanwhile, it cuts sort of a timeline because they end up getting pizza during this, and it's poisoned, which leads to these sisters from Atlantis who are obsessed with Garth and want to.
Sure. It does remind me that it was. I think it was Garth who was right, ordering the pizza, and obviously on the Teen Titans, it's Gar who loves pizza.
Right.
I just thought maybe that's intentional.
It's a little bit weird. Yeah.
I don't know. So you have all the fighting sort of, and it's cutting between the two sort of timelines. So you sort of. I thought it was a well structured issue. I appreciated the pacing of it. I felt like it was nicely bouncing from some character stuff to some action stuff, and back and forth. I kind of like this issue. I was into it. I
did not.
Did not like
so
this
tired. I'm getting tired of the Melrose Place drama.
Yeah. It's becoming a proper soap opera, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's fine in light stuff. If they touch on it every so often, I was enjoying the who was the Arsenal, Wally and Donna. I still don't understand why Donna and Wally is still a thing.
I think my problem is Booth can do the action sequences, but he can't do these character drama bits.
Ooh,
so they fall flat for me.
Oh yeah, I've been saying that the whole.
Abnett's pulling it off. Yeah, I can talk about why I don't like Brett Booth all day long, right? His art. He might be a nice guy. I didn't mean to say that I don't like Brett Booth. The art, not a fan of. But yeah, I don't even think Abnett's pulling off the interpersonal. I got more excited to see Cave Boy and Herald show back up and whatever they're doing, and I have no idea
for one
what
page.
they're doing.
Yeah, we got 1 page last issue, one page this issue.
If I'm going to critique it, actually, that'd be my main problem. Is that 1 page is not a lot to go on. When all it really shows is that they're breaking in somewhere, and that's about it. We don't really know anything else.
That was pretty much the cliffhanger last issue as well.
Yeah,
like, they were like, right, we're going to do something. Yeah, and here we're doing something.
No advancement. I think for me the issue flowed quite well. I thought the way it bounced around between the timelines was good. The character stuff, I don't know, maybe I'm just digging the soap opera stuff more than you guys are, but I kind of am.
I guess, and like I kept reading this book because of Wally, and I'm finding myself that Wally's less of the focus, and that's kind of disappointing for me because through Titan's Hunt, like the way that ended with there's a missing Titan, and we all know it's Wally West, and then here he gets a heart condition because Damien's
goes back.
jerk.
You know, we were saying how all the Robins had their books, and you were like, well, Tim Drake had Teen Titans. And it's like, it wasn't really his book.
Right.
This is starting to feel like that, where it's like, yeah, but this isn't really Wally's book, is it?
No, and not that it should be, because his name's not in the title. It is Titans, like it's them.
But that was the expectation still, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I wanted more with him, and that's why I tolerated the Donna and Roy triangle.
I liked his heart attack joke. That cracked me up.
Yeah.
Well,
see, there's pieces of brightness in there like that, and he goes, "Oh, what? Too soon, guys?" Like, because that is Wally. That felt genuine.
Yeah, I think, like you said, structurally, I think it works really well. I like it for that stuff, but I think it's these, the character dynamics, these soap opera stuff. It's just getting so clunky, I guess. When Donna literally comes up to him, it's like, "Oh, you guys are fighting over me in the middle of this actual fight."
Yeah, that was super clunky. And then when we get to the end, like the whole reason they're having pizza is because they're trying to ferret out the traitor, and so Dick somehow comes across this technology from Spiral that he had laying around that'll scan them to find out who's lying. Mm-hmm. And so I liked that aspect of it, but the payoff itself wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, so the payoff, the cliffhanger is that Dick is the one who's been affected, and he deletes the results and is like, right, what do you want me to do about this to whoever he's talking to? So yeah, I'm whatever on the cliffhanger, because I feel like this is kind of one of these things that I hate about comic cliffhangers, especially in plots like this where they always have to have these cliffhangers like, oh, someone's betraying the team, and they're not really. Like, whatever explanation we're going to get in the next couple of issues is going to make it okay.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a different Dick Grayson than what we've had even in this book. Like suddenly Dick's different, and maybe that's on purpose because they're seeding something's not quite right.
Oh, that was the other stuff I liked actually. Was Garth's like constant like 2 words, Dick, Lazarus, and contract.
Contract, yeah.
Yeah, him goading him because he kept a secret was quite good, I thought actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we also got to see more of his magic and what defines him as a character and what makes him Tempest. So that was cool.
Yeah, he got his big moment where he literally shines. Shines bright. And it's like, no secrets anymore. And so
that was, I thought it was really clunky. I think it was the introduction with them. Where was it? It was
the Trident.
And it was something to do with when they was talking to Lilith. It was near the start. It was really clunky exposition, I thought. It's right at the start, and Lilith's asking, oh yeah, they're in love with you, and she's like, yeah, I trained with them, and she's like, yeah, I already know this story, but he tells her anyway.
Yeah,
like she
starts
just
because she's a psychic. Yeah. Well, you got to get the exposition to us too, because I'd never heard of these characters before.
No, I just think there was a better way of telling it to someone who's already starting the story, so they're already familiar enough with the story. Telling it to that person just felt clunky.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I had enough fun with this. I mean, I don't think it's that close to being the best thing I'm reading right now, obviously, but it's like I consistently get like a fun enough read out of it. I'm not feeling too bad about it.
Yeah, it's not awful. I kind of wish it wasn't as clunky with like the soap opera stuff. Like I feel like it could be handled better.
It has its highs and lows. I think there's definitely been some great high points in the issue so far. Specifically when we get a different artist for an issue, usually those tend to suddenly spruce up. It's like, oh, everything's elevated all of a sudden. What's going on? But no, so that's Titans. That'll take us on to Supergirl number 12. Steve Orlando writing, Robson Rocha on art. It's a shame Brian Ching wasn't here, but I guess he needed a break. I'll have to actually look in and see if he's back for more issues soon, or if this is a permanent switch. But so this, I'm sure Matt was somewhat excited about this issue because this was Emerald Empress and the
yeah.
Five.
So Pete read this before I did, and he kind of let me know the Emerald Empress stuff happens. I'm just to peek ahead. I loved this issue. Like this.
Do you know, Matt? I'm so glad because you were so down in the last issue. I'm glad that you're
out of the Phantom Zone, and we got the Fatal Five, but not the traditional Fatal Five. We have ones that you could substitute in there.
We got Selena, we got Magog, we got a clone of Solomon Grundy. I actually thought that was a really fun little sequence at the start when they break into Arkham just to steal a bit of his hair. They just pluck a hair out.
So Selena can magically clone him, and you have Indigo, who's a brainiac. Well, my voice cracked, so I got excited. And Emerald Empress, Magog, Indigo, Selena, and who am I forgetting? Because there's 5.
Hold on, I'll get the page up.
Grundy.
Grundy, that's what
Grundy. There's the other. And they all have. So something happens through here, and they're gonna start to change Grundy. And I was like, oh, if they make him look like Validus, I'm gonna lose it. Like, and I'm reading this over breakfast and being careful not to get too excited to ruin my issue. You know. But yeah, the Legion of Superhero stuff here. Because they even talk about Saturn Girl. Like, the whole reason Emerald Empress is here.
Oh, and that's a very interesting line, actually. Let's not gloss over that. Because she says, someone wanted me to kill Saturn Girl.
Yeah.
But then she basically says that, Supergirl's the one who's eventually going to defeat me. So she basically just drops the mission she was supposed to do because Supergirl's more of a threat to her personally.
Because she felt that maybe the person that sent her on this mission wasn't sure. So she's like, well, I'll get back to Saturn Girl, but Supergirl's the prime importance because she's been in my way, more recently.
So that's interesting. It's like, so who? I mean, you're thinking, was it Oz? Was it someone else that we've been talking about? But so the issue starts obviously being the last one, the cliffhanger, where it looked like Cat Grant shot Supergirl with a kryptonite gun off the building. And what I like is they don't try and actually pretend like this could it actually be Cat. Like right away, you see Cat doing she's doing a speech on a stage in the other part of the city, and like even as she's falling, Kara hears her. She knows it's not her.
I think that's indicative of the cliffhangers you were just talking about in Titans, where like at the end of last issue, that wasn't going to be it.
Oh, because we talked about that and we thought maybe she came back to an alternate reality, and no, she didn't, because they point out that balcony that Cat was on disappeared right after she got shot off.
Yeah, it's all an illusion. Everything about it's an illusion.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it was Selena that had done it.
This one, I mean, comics are really guilty of this a lot, but this one bothers me a lot less than the current Titan ones they've been doing, because the Titan ones, like, I guess they're just not seeded it well enough, whereas here we have players who manipulate events and manipulate what people are thinking. So, like, I feel like it was... And also, that's the other thing. Titans has done it like 3 issues in a row, right?
And it hasn't resolved any of them yet.
Yeah,
either.
so by the third one, I'm kind of like groaning at it, whereas Supergirl did it once, and right away, it doesn't mess around with it as we start.
It's fine. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's part of this expectations that you have when you see these at the end of an issue. You go, okay, you're not angry. It's kind of what... It goes back to that whole, Captain America thing, doesn't it? From a year ago.
Kind of.
Aye, the difference there has been that it's been a year, and they're still handling it.
Well, they built a whole bad story, from what I hear.
Right, I'm not saying it was a good story or anything like that, but I'm just saying it was clearly that wasn't just the answer of what it was,
of course.
And people overreacted, and it's kind of the same that you could do here. People could overreact to that Titans.
Yeah, but see what I liked. Oh, the Titans. I was gonna say what I liked about Supergirl is they immediately, like Pete said, they get to it, and they shot her with something that amps up her powers. So it's not just a kryptonite gun. It looked purple. So it makes me wonder if we're going to be getting something to do with purple sunlight, purple kryptonite.
Well, this is the thing. It has an effect on her powers because immediately,
Yeah.
it's almost kind of similar to what's happened with the Flash, where her powers are kind of uncontrollable. She ends up like using her heat vision all over the place, and she like causes damage because she can't control her speed or her powers. And she's like, oh, this is bad. Like, what's happening? And it's also given her like pain. Like she's in school the next day and she's getting like headaches and stuff. Like it's really affected her in a big way.
Because it's basically that scene in Man of Steel where he can't control what he's doing, and it's like he's overloaded.
Yeah.
Right. And so she ends up putting a hole in the school, like a sinkhole opens up because she's freaking out so much.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't actually do this, but it's almost like she sneezed, and the sneeze like caused like a like just a big hole to like fall on the floor.
Yeah, and so Ben is kind of onto her now, like
seemingly. I mean, I don't know if he's figured out that she's Supergirl, but certainly he helps cover for her here because afterwards he's like, I mean, I said that like this floor was unstable, but they renovated this like a month ago. Like, there's no way that.
Well, he's starting to put it together because he's around her more, like the whole Phantom Zone stuff, and even with Kat, and they're battling over the scholarship thing.
Yeah, well, like about that though is it ends with him saying like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell Kat you showed a moment of weakness," and I like that because obviously it ties into who Kat is, but I like that it's building up their friendship a little bit, and it's like, okay, he's becoming more of a character that's not just the guy who's around, like because he's. He's considerate of those different things, and like he's starting to actually have a personality. So
they're building Kara's supporting cast, which I like because that's on the show. One of the things I like the most is her supporting cast.
Most of them.
And here they're doing it in the book. Yeah, well, most of them. And I feel she needs that friend that she can confide in. She really doesn't have that. She has her parents, and she has the doctor. Not the doctor. Was it Chase? The
Director Chase.
Help me out here.
Yeah.
The DEO. Yeah, the DEO girl. And
DEO girl.
And that's it. The DEO girl, lady.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, not Alex. That's what I call her.
Not Alex.
Which is odd. Kind of the same role.
That's the one thing we don't have here actually is an Alex character.
Exactly. And I feel they're kind of building Ben into that.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, I see him more of
a Jimmy.
He's more of the win.
Role.
He's like the win.
Or the win, yeah.
If we're comparing
but
to the
not
show.
as funny.
Not yet. Give him time. Maybe he'll.
To be fair, it's hard to reach those highs.
He's pretty good. But so we have this. I like there's this moment where she goes to her father, who's like in a big cryo tube, like this life support system and the DEO, and she's like, "Oh, father, something's happening with my powers, and like I think you can hear me, and I think you can talk back." And she at least believes that he's choosing not to. Even though he's like, he looks kind of half dead the way he's like sort of like floating there, but what I really like is you hear this commotion because as this is going on, like Emerald Empress and the Five are like doing their stuff outside, like their plans are starting to initiate because a big part of what they're doing is they want to discredit Supergirl first, which is partly why they shot her with the gun because they wanted to make her powers unstable because that way she looks like she's up to, because obviously even at the start after the chaos, some people are like, wait, why did Supergirl just ruin like half the street or whatever, right. And then here they've got more plans to like cause more chaos, and that starts happening. And she can hear the screams, and I like that she says to like Zor-El, like, I know you can hear them too. I have to go. It's risky because my powers are acting up, but I have to try and help them. And it's just I like that. So we end with this big cliffhanger where she's flying towards the chaos, and she gets there, and it's Grundy who they've set unleashed on the streets. Which by the way, I like that panel just before he like attacks where who is it? Is it Empress or Selena who does something to him? But
it was Selena.
Yeah, the art is very reminiscent. It reminded me a lot of the first cover of Incredible Hulk. The whole like him becoming Hulk, and it's like you see the sizes of
growing
him.
Up.
Yeah, it looked like that. I thought it was pretty cool.
And that's why I thought that they were going to turn him into like a Validus-like creature because he's a clone, right?
Yeah.
So if they mess with this one, no harm, no foul to Grundy himself. And so I thought like that would be the one tie because we have Magog, who's a lot like Persuader, the dude with the big axe in the mask, because he has that lance. And then you have the other two that are filling the role.
Yeah,
who I can't remember their names.
Yeah, Magog is in this whole plan because he has seen the future and he knows that Supergirl's descendants are going to like take care of his descendants. So
Yeah.
he wants to wipe out the timeline or the family line.
God, talk about 90s. That's why I love that Mark Waid created Magog to just basically everything that he felt was wrong with 90s comics. And you look at him here and it still stands. Like, he's half mechanical. He's got way too much going on. So, and I like how that plays in with Kingdom Come. Because is that what he's talking about? Kind of, like, down the way?
Maybe, like, a version of it. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because we've gotten different versions. Because Johns had out and out made, Injustice Society given us the new Magog origin. And it's not this. Like, he's a completely different person than that version.
Yeah.
So
it's also worth mentioning that Emerald Empress goes to Director Chase. Like, she's attacking her. For what reasons, we don't quite know yet. But
and Cat shines here too. I'm starting to love her more and more. Like,
Cat's great, yeah.
Not that she's anti-Lois, but she's on that same spectrum of Lois. Like, she's very good at her job, and she's very smart, but their personalities are the opposite.
I love it's not brought up here, but I love the running joke that she hates Lois, and she's like, remember, I think there was it was when Supergirl met the rest of the family, and she's like, like, Miss Grant has like a room dedicated to like hating you, and she's like, I know. I like it.
So they have this rivalry, I guess the word I'm looking for, and because they're so much alike, and here she doesn't even blink when who came to see her. Was it Selena?
Yeah, I think Selena goes to see her. Yeah.
She's just like, I have no time for a home invasion. Like, what are you doing? And she's great. I love this issue all around. I'm glad we're out of the Phantom Zone. I'm glad we're away from Cyborg Superman at the moment. Well, Zor-El, Cyborg Superman.
I like what they're doing.
The other one's trapped.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with him here, though. This idea that she, because I actually love her dialogue. At the end of that scene, she's like, "I'm never going to stop coming to see you, Father. I'm never going to stop. Like, I'm going to keep trying." Well, it just shows
that she wants to be with her dad, but she's not a Kryptonian supremacist. Like, she's not going to put Krypton over Earth because Krypton's not there anymore. Like, they can still be Kryptonian and not have to bring Krypton back. And I think that's going to be important going forward with what they're doing.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It's almost like trying to teach your parent how to not have to double click everything on a computer. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You can just click once on most things. Like, you're fine.
And I want to see how Clark interacts with Zor-El, because he's what Zor-El doesn't want. Like, he's a Kryptonian raised on Earth, but Clark is much more involved in Earth than Kara is. So how is he going to react with that? Yeah. It's great, though.
It's good stuff.
I can't get over how much I loved it.
Yeah, I really feel like the whole Fearsome Five, like, them coming together, it feels like they've got a plan, they're setting all the parts in motion, and it feels like we're just starting to see what the effect is. I feel like the next issue is going to end with Supergirl in a really bad place. Like, she's going to see, like, their plan's going to, like, be more clear because they're going to, like, do all these different things that they're winding up.
Yeah.
We'll see what the effect is. So, no, it's good stuff. And we won't have to wait too long, because the annual this month is the continuation of this story. It's not.
Yeah, at least the fight with Grundy.
Yeah.
We kind of saw at the end. So.
Yeah. So that's cool. I like that. I like when the annual's just the next part. I do appreciate that. It feels like less of a fill-in thing.
I'm always torn on those, because it feels like I'm obligated to buy the extra issue then. But then, sometimes if it's just a side thing, and I'll be like, I don't need that.
I do get your argument, but at the same time, it's like, at least the way DC do it, the annual's always on a week where there's nothing else. So it's like, it's like the one book I'm going to have. So I'm glad it's
as much
important.
as I like them standing alone, like it seems the Green Arrow one's going to do. When they do, we get a bigger story, so it's not going to interrupt the other story going forward. It just it fits in right there, and we can decompress. So what I don't understand about Orlando is how he can be so good like now, but like that Phantom Zone story, I just could not care less about. Or I could care less about. No, I could not care less about it. So it's so weird to me. He's so up and down.
Yeah, he's definitely. I feel like he's still figuring out his craft. Like, he's still figuring out what he's good at and what he's not good at. But I didn't hate the Phantom Zone stuff as much as you did. But I think the Supergirl has often been good. Sometimes great. Sometimes okay. But it's. It's never turned me off from reading more of it. But no, I dug this issue a lot as well. That'll take us on to Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 26. Robert Venditti writing, Rafa Sandoval on art. You two read this, so by all means, Connor, what was this about? What happened?
So we begin with a vision that Graf has, and it's said about old Genesis and reverberations echo throughout the multiverse, and then it says metal awakes.
Yeah.
And it has these big imposing figures, bright
like these
colours.
big old golems of light, it looks like.
Yeah, they're like black, but then have these colourful lights that kind of give them form that you can kind of make.
Tron.
Yeah. Now,
Tron.
first question. This whole first page is just talking about metal. Like the very first bit is talking about metal rings against metal.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think this is relevant?
Metal is.
Metal.
Metal is. I hope not, because I like Venditti needs to just stay in his lane. He was doing fine. Like this issue was troublesome for me because of that. It was stuff I didn't like, and just leave metal to those. Like, I get that we have to get to the point where Hal Jordan comes to Earth to kick all that off, but maybe necessarily we don't need it in this book. You know?
See, I liked a lot of this issue. Now, the Hal and Kyle stuff, because they're partnered up and they're off doing their stuff, their interactions are probably the weakest part of the issue for me. Mm-hmm. Again, Venditti, it's those two that he seems to struggle with most out of all of the core. The stuff with John and Guy and Salak is all really quite strong, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
he has a handle on those characters.
Right, there's not a lot of it. It's just a guy being Guy going, hey, you should probably send me out to do something because I'm cool.
I'm getting restless.
Pretty much. He's like, I want to do something. And John's been like, no, you wait till you get you a new partner, someone who can keep you without getting distracted.
Yeah.
And, they have some nice moments. Guy saying, he respects him, best friends. Like, it's like, I get why you're the leader. And it's nice.
See, it's good when they're not all struggling to be the leader. It's like they've all just accepted John. Like, Hal knows that he can't. Guy knows that he can't. Kyle doesn't want it.
Right.
Know?
It's probably the best part of this run so far, I think, is that there isn't this struggle between the Earth Lanterns. They're kind of all pretty much in sync, which is rare and nice to see. But basically, there's some sort of gravitational disruption going on. So they send Hal and Kyle out to go and investigate. And they get there, and the whole thing's been decimated. The entire system's it's just rubble everywhere.
Yep.
And then you start hearing the pings. Mm-hmm. And obviously Hal immediately knows what it is. He gets a big machine gun ready. And then what is probably my favorite page in this is this double page spread of the boom tube opening. And it is gorgeous, where it has a big massive boom across pretty like 3/4 of the page and Orion blasting out of it. And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And then they have a bit of catch up. When did they have this meeting that they're talking about? Oh, we ended up as friends.
Godwatch. It's when I stopped reading in the New 52.
Yeah, I think I don't recall it that well.
I didn't like Venditti trying to make Hal the leader and then everybody turning against him because he was the leader. And then I had read through the relic stuff and the source wall, and I was like, oh, I know where this is going, and I don't care.
I think I must have stopped at the same bit then, because I remember the relic stuff, but I don't really remember this. I'm like, okay, this must have happened at some point. Mm-hmm. Basically, Orion's here looking for help. He's like, yeah, shit's going down. We could do with the White Lantern especially, because he'd be useful.
Yep.
And
I was just like, my bad. I don't know if I broke it, and I don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
He actually says, my bad.
Yeah.
That's not Matt paraphrasing and being Matt. That's Kyle's dialogue.
And then the interesting thing, too, is Omega Beams come and hit Orion just as he's basically going to tell them what they're up against. Yeah. And so they have to get him back to
they go to Salak's planet, don't they? Mogo's not close enough.
Exactly. So they can't get to Mogo, so they take him to Salak's, which is cool because I like that everybody on that planet's Salak. Like they all have the same attitude about life. They're all. It looks like it's very structured.
Yeah, because the doctor comes out. They got this little robot with them, and they're like, "Oh, are you sure this is enough? She's not be a hospital." And the doc's like, "No, this is more than adequate. I know. I invented it. Now, shut up." They basically do what is essentially just a defibrillator on him, and bring him back. And Orion's pissed off because he's like, "Yeah, you do realize those Omega beams are chasing me, so now I'm in a city. This is not good." So I like that he's showing some care.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's literally his first thought on being resuscitated. He's like, "What? Why am I here? What have you done? You put everyone in danger." And then one of those big metal creatures, the golems, comes through a boom tube, and
it's red and it matches the Omega. So I'm wondering, do you think that they've got the Omega sanction like Darkseid? That these are some old powered? Yeah, I'm just like.
But then the ones that we saw at the start, I think one of them was red in the vision.
Yeah,
one of them was red, but not all of them.
No, because you have red. And that's the one that looks like it destroyed that sector because you can see it with Orion. He's in that image, and then the monk lantern. What did you say his name was?
Graf.
I never remember. Graf. He says that how he's too late, and he's seeing it in his eyes. So he's watching this battle. But yeah, the colors you have I think I'm trying to get back to that page.
Red, yellow, purple,
and blue. So, which are all core that we're pretty familiar with. So I don't think that they're necessarily
I don't know if
by those emotions.
I don't know if they correlate to that. I mean,
but why else would they be in a Lantern's book?
Right, that's the question.
Those are very specific colors, and that's what frustrates me. I'm just like, why are you mixing those with the new gods?
Yeah, but I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one if that's what it actually is. If it is that is a little bit disappointing. So I kind of hope it's not.
Yeah,
but it could be, especially with Orion actively seeking them out.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm intrigued to see if this does tie into metal in some way, because it seems a bit on the nose to be talking about metal so much, and the next is even heavy metal.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if this is him trying to tie it in.
Well, issue, look, I think it's 30 or 32 is definitely a tie-in to metal, so it wouldn't surprise me if this is planting seeds for whatever that's going to do.
Yeah.
I really like the art in this issue, though, especially every time the boom tubes go off. I think it looks fantastic.
It says boom in the panels.
Looks great. But, I mean, I had fun. I'm still not sure on Hal and Kyle, but the less of them, the better.
I want to see how Guy and Orion would play off of each other.
Oh, that could
be fun.
Yeah.
That could be real fun. All
cool.
right.
All right, cool. Well, that'll take us on to Superwoman number 13, which only I read. And this was an issue where... So we ended the last issue where Lana wanted to go back to her roots, go back to Smallville to try and track how she still has her powers. Like, why, and look at Connor being rude and leaving. I
know. I mean, I grabbed for my phone to make sure no one tried to call me while I'm recording, but I did it slickly. Not like him.
Someone's still supposed to bounce off of me. He's so rude.
I'm listening, Pete. Go ahead.
Thank you, Matt. It's appreciated. Yeah. But yeah, so Lana goes back to Smallville, but we start in this big fight. It's Lex and Lana fighting, and Lana's affected by red kryptonite, and Amos Ames is there as well, and he's all red, and he's basically been like juicing with red kryptonite.
Oh man,
he's been powering himself with red kryptonite, and Lana. And I actually really like something that does here with Lana's narration is that it's her talking, but she's like, I can feel someone else like calling, but she makes sense, and it's talking about how the inner desire, that personality is like coming out, and Lex is trying to fight her and fight both of them, and he sends out a call for help, and then you don't see who picks up that call until the end of the issue when it comes back to the present day stuff, and the big cliffhanger is that Supergirl shows up. So next issue, Supergirl and Lex are teaming up against Lana and Ames. So fun stuff. So Supergirl versus Superwoman is pretty cool. But the most of the issue though, right? Most of the issue is actually the flashback to when they're teenagers, and it's got a teenage Clark Kent with Lana Lang. Amos Ames is there. Teenage Lex is there at Smallville High.
Well, I might have to read this now because I like the flashbacks.
And so there's a lot of stuff where it's like we find out later. It almost feels like the Archie issue of Superman, where it's like they're in high school and she told him a while ago that she liked him more than a friend, but he's been feeling kind of weird. But when she starts showing interest in this Amos Ames, who's like riding about in a motorbike, and he thinks he's a bad influence, he's getting kind of possessive, and he's just like, "Ah, no, Lana, I don't think you should be doing that." And there's some really fun stuff. Like she ends up getting in detention with Lex because Lex is helping the teacher like show science stuff, and she gets really annoyed that he's being so snooty, so she starts like barking back at him, and the teacher puts them both in detention. And Clark's worried, and he wants to spend time with Lana, so he intentionally tries to get himself put in detention. So
This is an Archie issue. I'm not even kidding.
And he waits outside one of the classrooms for one of the teachers who comes out, and this is an amazing page because he's just like, hey Mrs. whatever her name is, and he's like, oh, I'm just hanging around, being a delinquent. Wait a minute, Archie, don't you have a class right now? It's like, yeah, I've got home ec, but I just felt like I didn't want to go, so I didn't go.
You just called Clark Archie.
Did I?
Point that out.
Oh, shit.
You did.
Damn it.
There you
Well,
go.
obviously why, right? The reasons
But
why.
I think that's the ultimate compliment,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
But yeah, so he's, oh, I'm just being a delinquent, I'm just hanging around. She's like, oh, don't you have a class? Like, oh, I've got home ec, but I didn't feel like going, so I didn't go. And then the teacher, and this cracked me up, just goes, well, I'm sure you've got a good reason, Clark. I'll be seeing you later. Because it's Clark Kent. Like, she knows he's such a good boy. Like, why would she even question it?
That's
great. And the way he finally gets detention is he says something along the lines of, oh, I think Shakespeare's is trite. Like, he insults Shakespeare, and that's what gets her upset, and she sends him to detention.
It's like in the film The New Guy, where he can't get thrown out of school to save his life, but then he snaps a broom.
Yeah.
And the principal's like, oh, that's school property, you're expelled.
Yeah. So it's really funny, to the point where he goes to detention, and Lana's not there, but Lex is like, oh, you must have a big crush if you got yourself in detention.
Yeah.
The news of your tirade against Shakespeare's all over school. Like, tirade? I said one sentence.
Oh
But
my
super
god, I want
fun.
this as an ongoing.
Super fun. She actually is in detention because Amos kind of intercepted her and like said, you're already in trouble. Let's skip out in detention. We can go riding on my bike, and they do. And at the end of the bike ride, like they end up almost crashing, and Clark of course swoops in and saves her. But this is when you find out the necklace she has on, which her grandfather made for her out of some meteorite that was kicking around, is red kryptonite, and basically, she in present day thinks that the reason why she has her powers is because her prolonged exposure to red kryptonite is the culprit. And Lex is saying it's not that, and I don't think it's that either. I feel that feels too easy. But
Because red kryptonite has in the comics at least, it's not a consistent effect.
yeah,
So you would think if her powers were like that, it would be different each time.
yeah, and she's been affected by it now, but like she is a Kryptonian almost, which is weird. But
Yeah.
that definitely points to some weirder stuff going on here. Especially since the whole thing with Amos is that because since he's seen this happen, he's seen that this had an effect on her after this crash. He apparently this whole time has been working with it, trying to like make it for himself to give him powers and strength and whatnot.
Powers.
But no, I had a lot of fun with this issue. Really, really good stuff. And it's giving Lana this spotlight, having teenage Clark, all this stuff is super, super fun. And then Supergirl showing up at the end, and we're going to get the super ladies fighting each other next issue. Nah, that was a blast. Really, really into this. So, no, cool. I thoroughly recommend the Superwoman 13. If you're someone who dropped off after the first arc, because the first arc was quite rough after the first issue, I do think, at least I'm into it a lot more now. And the art's quite good. The art is by Steven Segovia, who had been doing a lot of action. So
Segovia draws Superman real well. I'm gonna have to pick this up on Wednesday when I go to the shop because I need a Smallville. I can't miss out on Smallville.
And of course, Clark is wearing a red jacket the entire time because of course he is, because Power Rangers rules. But no, so there you go. That's Superwoman. Really good stuff. So that'll take us on to New Superman number 14.
Connor's still not back.
And Connor's still
not
back. And that's do you know what annoys me about this is that he drops New Superman and he was complaining this week that he didn't have enough books. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't have dropped New Superman because this week's issue was freaking fantastic. It might be the best issue of the series. And I'm annoyed he's not here to hear us praise it to the heavens because it was really goddamn good. Oh, at least I thought it was. Did you like it as well, Matt?
I did. It's more of what I like about this book, and it's Yang making Keenan his own, and it Superman's in the title, but
that's actually a really good point, Matt. Gene Luen Yang wrote it and Billy Tan on art. I forgot to mention that before we.
There you go.
Wait, I was too busy complaining about Connor to do my usual.
I gotcha.
Usual intro.
Because it feels like the early days of Superman, where he was a man of the people, and I feel like in this issue, Keenan puts aside his ego and becomes a man of the people.
I love everything about this. Obviously, Emperor Superman's up on the top of this tower. The Great Ten attack him at the start, but it's about our Justice League. It's about the Justice League of China coming together, and they find Wonder Woman early on. She's still a snake, and it's actually Avery who says, "Oh, the Flash taught me this trick," which we saw in that book. To try and sort of center yourself, she has to get control over her emotions, much like the Speedsters have to do with the Speed Force when they're still sort of learning how to use it. And she's like, say things you really like, things that you love, things that make you feel comfortable. And she changes enough that she changes most of her body, but she still got the tail. She's still got a snake tail and no legs, which is
she's like a snake tar.
But
that's what I called her.
As good as obviously as good as the Keenan stuff is throughout this issue, the Baxi Delan stuff is fantastic. So he can't look at her. He feels weird because he had a big crush on her, and now she's half snake. He's found out all this stuff about her, and so they form this. Okay, right, we'll split into pairs. Flash and Superman will go up to this building and start freeing the hostages in the building. You two will go to this floor. They're
gonna meet in the middle.
And Baxy's like, oh, can we not? Can I not go with you? It's like, no. We've got the superpowers. We'll go up to the top and we'll do that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's this tension between them, and Delan eventually, after they sort of do some stuff, and she jumps in, she gets kind of hurt. She actually goes in to protect Baxter. He's almost going to get shot, and she jumps in and takes the hit in the shoulder. And she's like, I protected you, but you can't even look at me. You're freaked out by me. I'm a lesser being because I'm one of these mythical creatures. He's like, no, I'm upset because I like you more than a friend. And you get that great page where she kisses him, and it's the kiss that transforms her fully back into a human being. And I fist pumped. That's a great moment. Yeah, that's her
story.
Yeah.
She fell in love with an average human, and it didn't work out, and so now she has her tie.
It was heartwarming. It was a great page spread. They really did a good job of making me care about these two kind of liking each other, and kind of ever since the started with the whole he's got a crush on her, I've actually been kind of into them while they won't they. And then add on top of that the humour on top of it with Keenan and Avery over to the side. Keenan's like, oh, she's half snake, I'm going to throw up. And then after the kiss and she's back to being human, she's like, what's wrong? It's just like Beauty and the Beast. What, you got a problem with the girl being the Beast? And he's like, no, I've got a problem with Baxi being the Beauty. That cracked me up so much.
Yeah, that one killed me.
Yeah, that was great.
Really good. And you also have Master I Ching. We get kind of resolution that the one that we know isn't the original, right?
Well, it's not so much that I wouldn't say either one of them is the original per se, but it confirms that there's two sides of the same coin, because he goes into his meditative state and he's fighting the evil version in meditation land, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, because I'm laughing at what Keenan calls it, and I can't recall right off the top of my head, but it's the place in between places.
Yeah.
And Keenan's like, yeah, because that makes sense.
Nah. I thought this issue, it felt like such a good climax, in terms of emotional for the Baxi and Delan story. Just the simple setup that they have to go up this building to the final boss, as if it's a video game, but they have to save the people, and then it's eventually Keenan who runs off, and he finds his dad, he finds his mom, and then he hears people are in trouble upstairs, and his dad's like, no, Keenan, this is you have to, this is a job for Superman. He actually uses that line, and it's
yep,
it's just this great moment where he finally to his son, it's yeah, go be this hero, this is what you should be. I'll take care of your mom, who at least I'm convinced is your mom, at least. And that's when Keenan goes up and he finally uses his heat vision, which he's not done up until this point. There's that great 2-page spread of him finally letting rip. It's great stuff. And then we get the sort of the swerve ending that sort of maybe introduces what the next arc's going to be, which is the Suicide Squad show up because Amanda Waller's sent them to kill Emperor Superman, and apparently also Keenan, because too dangerous to have these people around.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the Justice
And
League
we
of China.
found out that
I was going to say we have the Justice League of China versus Suicide Squad next issue, by the looks of it.
Yeah. Yep, and we found out too that apparently Deadshot speaks perfect Mandarin because he had no words in blue.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah,
because
Sounds like a skill he'd have.
Because he stabs him in this cornerback, just in case you're on the audio and we're like wondering.
Yeah.
But he stabs him with a kryptonite sword, and he points out, these kryptonite swords don't actually affect you like it would a Kryptonian, like because you're not like actual Superman, you're not actual Kryptonians, but it does weaken you, so we can kill you with a regular thing, and that's how they kill him.
More importantly, it's still a sword, and it's gonna hurt.
Exactly, it's still a sword, it's still stabbing.
That's exactly what he says.
Yeah. But so that was fun. But I think this is my favorite issue of the book. Like it's up there with the Kaiju Turtle issue, which that basically started this arc. This arc's been fantastic. This has been the book, and it's
Yeah, for Superman.
Yeah, I love this arc. It's great.
The line that I was talking about too, where he tells him he's going to the meditation place, and Keenan's like, he went to a dimension. How did he put it? That's in between stuff. And Avery's like, in between what? And Keenan's just like, I don't know, stuff. Like, it's just Keenan's still Keenan, but he's attained, like, he's not as ego driven.
Yeah,
he's still a bit of a jerk, but
it feels like I feel like if you want to fault the first chunk of the book, it's that it was setting up so many like side characters and stuff that was maybe a lot to take in. But now we're at the point where I understand who all the main Justice League members are, who Ming Ming is, because she calls in at one point and gives them help. Ai Ching, even Lenny Lan on TV, like we know who that is. It's like it cuts to the news reports. Yep. It's a character we know. It's not just some random news reporter. Like all of it's like it feels like it's all well built up to the point where like okay, everything matters now. I care about all of them. It's great. Yep. So.
Definitely.
This is a book that is really. It was always good, but it's definitely grown to like great things. It's its own mostly self-contained thing, even though it is bringing in things like Suicide Squad and obviously Superman's popped in hero there. But
yeah, which good because it should tie into the greater world because Keenan did go on to help him against the Revenge Squad, so there should be a little bit of crossover.
But no, I really feel like it's built its own little sandbox though, and because of that, it's doing all these great things. So I'm digging it. Obviously the name might be because of something that might happen soon that we've speculated in the past, but it does almost make me wonder why it wasn't just called Justice League of China, because it really does feel like an ensemble for the most part.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Especially after that first art.
So. But no, great stuff. I cannot recommend New Superman enough. It's been really good stuff. So that'll take us on to Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, issue 13. Julian Shawna Benson writing and Roge Antonio on art. This is the final of this current arc. So we have Catwoman with the Birds of Prey. Well, two of them are already in, but like Batgirl and Catwoman are sneaking in. We're starting air ducts and stuff as they're coming into the building.
Terror Core.
Yeah. And there's some fun banter with them and the whole thing, and it all boils down to they have to convince Ivy not to do what she's doing, because like there's other ways to do this. Like, Barbara's basically, my company can buy this place and like let you run it. Like that's ultimately what ends up happening. But they actually have these killer bees not killer bees, they're just regular bees, but there's a lot of bees. Yeah. There's enough bees that they become killer.
We find out that Terror Core made this new fertilizer, but the fertilizer's poisoning the bees.
Yes.
And bees are like this key point in the food chain that they're responsible for a lot. So you start killing a bunch of bees, and it's it's dominoes. It's a house of cards, I guess. If one metaphor is not enough.
Yeah, you're not just killing the bees. You're eventually killing lots of other things and people. Yeah,
and so surprisingly, Ivy's not cool with that. Yeah. So she's gonna kill this guy, and then try to fix the fertilizer, because you can't do one without the other. Yeah. Like, you can't just fix the fertilizer, you got to make him pay for poisoning the bees.
Yeah, so this all goes down. I will point out, I'm pretty sure there's a colouring mistake on one panel. I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a panel where Canary has red hair.
Yeah, it confused me for a second.
It confused me, because I was like...
Ivy?
Yeah, because it was like, wait a minute, she wasn't wearing glasses. Wait, no, that's Canary. That's what she was wearing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was her. Yeah.
So that was odd, but obviously I imagine that'll be fixed for later versions and whatnot. But so that was an amusing little moment. But So yeah, they basically like solve the problem. Ivy like injects herself with this stuff that'll let her talk to the bees like she talks to the plants, and that kind of.
Yep.
I say that as if it's such a simple thing, but we're dealing with poison ivy. It's kind of hard.
Well, yeah, because she is a chemist, and they create it, and it doesn't last forever. You know, it's limited. So
I love that Catwoman after this is like she's got her hand in the safe. She's like getting some more payment, and I was like, the cops are coming. We should go. Like we can't hang around like the Birds of Prey do.
Nope.
But I think actually like I had a lot of fun with the main plot. But for me, like most of the exciting stuff of this issue was the last kind of chunk of it. It's where Babs realizes that the calculator's like accepted that like he says, okay, I'm man of my word. Like you helped me get my family back, so I'm not going to like the new Oracle guy. I keep forgetting his name. What's his name?
Yeah.
It's
I'm looking for it.
I feel like I've just been calling him Oracle for like the entire run of them.
Because that's what he is. I mean, for the most part.
It's relevant here though because I need to use Oracle in another way in a minute. so hold on a second here.
I can't find it.
Yeah, Gus. There you go. His name's Gus.
Gus. There we go.
Apologies. Right. So Gus, Gus off's the hook, right? But then Barbara realizes that wait a minute. Gus probably turned Calculator in. That's probably what started this all in the first place. This is how the company even knew about him. And Calculator kind of worked this out as well. So we have this intimidating thing where Calculator finds Gus. Gus who's going off grid, by the way. Gus is like giving up his job as being Oracle. He's ready to just leave. He's like, he thinks he's not proven himself. He's leaving. But Barbara realizes this as well. So just as Calculator's about to get Gus, like Oracle starts talking over the phone. And it's like, Calculator is talking to Oracle, and it's actually Barbara being Oracle to like just convince Calculator that Gus isn't the Oracle. Like there's someone else involved here, and it's just this fun little moment where she becomes that character again for a brief little second just to save his hide, and then obviously we have that fun bit afterwards in the Batburger. I like that this is becoming a regular fixture of the universe that there's a Batburger.
$15 Batburger.
Yeah, $15. Yeah. And again, Selena stealing a fry, not just asking for it.
Yeah,
just stealing it.
Because that's what she does.
But we have this nice big cliffhanger where there's something going on. We need to go and be the Birds of Prey. And Ivy and Catwoman go with Huntress and Canary. They're a team of 4 here, and they say, "Oh, Babs, are you coming?" And she's like, "You know what? I think I'll just run this from home. For old time's sake." Yeah. Yeah. So it seems like we might be getting a little bit of sort of nostalgic Oracle action next time. Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's cool that the ranks have swelled at least just for the small moment.
Yeah,
that's not just Huntress and Canary, but you got Ivy and Catwoman there too because they could go either way.
I think I'd like if they kind of like came in and out when like they'd be allies. They'd call on when things are maybe getting rough. Like, okay, we need a couple of extra soldiers here. Let's call in the reserves.
Yeah.
So, no.
I have a question. Obviously, Matt, you've not been reading this up till now because Ivy. Are you sticking with it again now, or are you going back to not?
Probably not, unless I hear what Pete says about the next stuff, and then we'll go. So again, if it's on any other week but this week, where there's 50 other million things that I read, it'd be fine.
That's fair. But did you enjoy this issue though? You didn't regret?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and they've settled in. The writers have settled into the characters. And the art's not as troublesome as it was when I was reading.
Oh yeah, those creepy lips from that first arc are long gone. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, well, it's good. This was only a 3 issue, so it didn't take that long, and it was very concise. Mm-hmm. Like you got in with the calculator and Gus, found out that whole backstory. Oh, and then Catwoman's involved, so now that whole issue is just about Catwoman. Oh, Ivy's involved, so now this explains Ivy. So they built on each other, and it didn't. I felt like the first arc kind of drug. Just because they felt like they had to get like 6 issues out of it or 5 issues out of it when it could have been 3. And here they have a little bit more freedom. So I did appreciate that. But unless I hear more things, or they move this to, week 4 or 1, I'm not so slammed.
I think this has definitely gotten tighter. I do. This is probably my favourite arc of the book so far. And I think that last moment with all 4 of them, like with Catwoman and Ivy, like jumping into action with them, was a pretty fist pumping moment, I think. But no, I was having fun with it. I enjoy the Birds of Prey, even if it typically, it doesn't not usually make my top 5, but maybe it will this week. Right. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. We'll see where we end up. Well, that'll take us on to Justice League of America number 12, which we have not been reading on the show since issue 5. That was where me and Matt both opted out. Because the first arc ended in issue 4. We didn't like it at all. And we said, we'll see what the next arc's like. And we came back for issue 5. We thought it was more the same. We opted out. And it was actually Matt who was like, oh, they're doing this Microverse arc where they're going to get Ray Palmer. I want to read this. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll read it as well. And I went all in. I said, you know what? It's only 6 issues to catch up. I'm going to see what the rest of it was like. Because, sometimes, kind of like with Aquaman, where I was getting a little bit tedious reading it at the time, it read better as a bulk read, where I could just go through the issues one by one. Aquaman is much better than this book. I'll say that right away.
From what I've heard about Aquaman, it's much better than this book.
Look, just before you get into the discussion, forget Mr. Miracle. This is the main event of this week.
Really, this is the main event.
This is what I've been waiting for. I want to see you tear this to shreds.
You've been sitting there with nothing to talk about for like 10 minutes, or more than that, 20 minutes even.
I know. That's why I'm looking forward to this. I want to see how much you hated this equally.
Well, I just wanted, before we get to this issue, I just wanted to give my brief thoughts on the ones we missed, right? Because I read all of them this past week. The arc we left out on was only 2 issues long, so the issue 6, the one after we left, was also shit, like just outright shit. And then it did get better after that. Not amazing, but it did get a bit, because it stopped being just the mindless fighting for constant issues at a time. It focused on some smaller things. The story wasn't great, but it was a chance to breathe a little bit. It was doing a little bit of Killer Frost stuff. It was doing a little bit of this and that. It felt like there was like different plots going in an ensemble book, kind of like it should. Not amazing, but definitely not as tedious to read. Like, I wasn't dreading it after it got a little bit better. That said, though, the last issue before this one, like the last little 2-issue arc, I didn't like that much. It felt I wasn't into it. Again, it felt like it keeps pulling out these weird villains that I'm not interested in. And issue 11, the one before this, I honestly, like, when I read it, it was more of a, right, I just want to, like, get through this last one so I can read the new one, and I kind of just skimmed it more than I actually read it properly.
It's a sign of a quality book right there.
Yeah, I just, it was losing me. Like, it kind of got a little bit better, and then it was starting to lose me again. And then this issue, the new issue, the start of this arc, which obviously Matt has read as well, I think you put it very well, Matt, when you said that Choi in this, the new Atom, he is an exposition machine, and all he does in this book is constantly tell us new things and explain things.
Yep. So this is good. So that means that in all the build-up, you had no shrinking ship whatsoever.
Nope.
Like this is something that was seeded throughout.
None of that. The only thing that happened in the last issue is that he was looking for where Ray was. He wanted to get back to that, and the issue ended with him like getting a notification on his computer, like it pinged him, and he woke up and he was like, "Oh shit, I found him!" And that was the cliffhanger at the end of the last issue. That was the extent of the setup.
So, DC, if you're listening to this,
just give us a Ryan Choi book. DC.
Just give us a Ryan Choi book. Just please, because I'm interested in what's going on with Palmer, but the rest of this, I was instantly reminded why I didn't like what was going on. Because Orlando, I touched on this in Supergirl, he's 2 different people when he writes. Like, for as good as Supergirl was, this was the complete inverse. I hated this. And I skimmed it again just to make sure I was at work when I read it. I wasn't in the wrong mind, headspace. I wasn't like negative flashing it. And no, it was just as bad at home. Yeah. And I don't get it. I don't understand how it can be so bad.
It's rough, and it's not even like I don't, because it's not the worst thing ever. It's not as bad as, say, I don't know, like Hitch's Justice League, right? It's not quite as bad as that. Right. But it's really frustrating because, honestly, everything plot-wise that happens in this, I feel like I should be enjoying. Like, the whole idea that Atom's building this ship that takes, like, most of them... He leaves Vixen and... Canary. Yeah, behind. He leaves them behind to, like, deal with...
And the Ray, because they need some heavy hitter. Which, by the way, the Ray, no longer living light. He's actually a fully human, which, that was new to me. Didn't care that much, but...
Oh, yeah, he turns it on and off. He does that. Yeah.
So that's cool. So that's a little bit of development that I like seeing. First, I was confused who he was, and then when they called him Ray, I was like, oh yeah, he's the hero where his name's his code name.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You had you put the in front of it. Now it's his superhero name.
So you take the most interesting members of the team and leave them away. The ones whose powers could come into effect and help out. And instead you give us Batman, Lobo, Frost, and Ryan Choi.
Hey, Frost is okay.
And a shrink. Frost is fine. I don't have the connection to her. Like,
and
even Canary. Like, Canary would have been fine.
Well, I just, like, them shrinking down, them getting this mission, it feels like it should be exciting, and it never really does, because it's just him standing around with the exposition, and then they go, and I'm like, I feel like I could have had a whole issue with them, like, designing this ship. Like, this could have been an issue of them, like, figuring this shit out and making it feel difficult, instead of it just happening. And then they go into the microverse, and some people attack them.
It's just that simple as them shrinking all the way down in the ship, and then they get to the microverse, and of course they run into issues there, and the ship crashes. So you're like, oh no, how are they going to get back? I wonder. And so that's nice. That's good storytelling.
Yeah, and
until these creatures that I feel like I've seen before, but I can't remember where, attack.
Yeah, and then we have the big cliffhanger, which is a mysterious figure in a really weird sort of like cloak, who they think, oh, the signal's telling us this is where the atom belt is, so this must be Ray. This must be, and of course,
or just not the atom belt worn by somebody that's not Ray.
Yeah. So the cliffhanger did nothing for me. I was just kind of like,
Me neither. There's no suspense. I turned that page. I was like, well, that's clearly not Ray, because if it was Ray, you'd have shown the face. Like.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just.
Or it's Ray and he's horrifically scarred.
It was just. It was just very.
Even then. I feel that if they're gonna go that route and have him go native, there's better ways to do it. Like, don't make it a mystery then.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to make him Colonel Kurtz going up the river, then yeah, he's been in the microverse too long, and
it felt like a chore to read, and I feel like I was excited about this book when they announced it, and we liked most of those one shots before it started, and I think that's really shown maybe Orlando's strength is that he's typically much better at just a single character. When he focuses on one character and let's just do them, and maybe they're villain, so they've got their antagonist, but like this team book has been really rough. And to the point where, I jumped on because I thought, oh, we'll read this arc to see what it does, and I don't even know if I want to read the next one.
No, I'm out. I have Justice League Children to read.
When Matt, the continuity junkie who has to get everything about everything, is like, nah, you know what? This is that story from the Rebirth issue about Ray Palmer, but. You know, I don't even care enough.
It was just too tedious. And the thing is I love Supergirl. I'm really liking Batman Shadow. I really like Night of the Monster Men. Well, Matt, your mic's going, Matt. And somehow this JLA though is just like, it is such a bad read. Like, it's tedious. It feels like you're taking.
How much longer it's going to be around? Because it can't be doing that well.
That's the thing, though, because it's called Just Leave America, it is doing...
Yeah, from reports, the lowest things that are in danger most are Superwoman and Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle, I think, has someone else coming on as a writer, and they tweeted, like, for the last 5 issues, so it implied that it's ending. And Superwoman, I believe, the third trade, that when they go up on Amazon, it said, the final story of Superwoman, so it implied again that it was the end of it.
That's a shame, because it's getting better.
It is.
Because that one wasn't one that I was actively disliking. Like some of these other ones, I just didn't have the time.
Right, I'm not reading either of those right now, but I don't really want them to be... I guess at some point there are going to have to be cancellations, and people are... I'm seeing people going, see, DC are cancelling books again. I'm like, yeah, but it's been a full year. Look how much of a chance they've given everything. Even if they cancel both of those now. They gave them a good try.
And I feel like a bad comic fan rooting for stuff to be canceled, but like I feel we can get a proper Justice League of America that's not this weird, like.
But I don't have a problem with the weird team though. Like I was actually excited by the weird team.
It's the stories he's choosing to tell with it. Like, don't cancel it. Just take Orlando off of it.
Oh yeah, it's the weird writing. I don't like the writing at all in this book, and it's so strange.
But I think Pete hit the nail on the head. It's got the JLA name. It's selling all right enough for them to not worry about it. Why
It's,
change?
it's the same with Justice League. Brian Hitch's Justice League is terrible, and yet it sells. The only thing that beats it from DC right now, I think, is Batman. That's how much that sells because it's called Justice League.
Bulls.
And you have to imagine that, you know, we're getting the writer change on that. That has to have been Hitch's choice. Surely he's gone, do you know what, I'm going to do something else. I want to focus on the art, because he's not been doing a lot of the art on it lately. Because from DC's...
Why does it have to be Hitch's choice? I don't get that logic.
Because from DC's perspective, it's selling well. It's doing, you know, it's making them money. Why would they change what?
Because maybe they want a claim from it. Maybe they actually want people to, like, because as much as it's selling, there is like an intent from them to want it to feel like a milestone book, and it doesn't. It doesn't feel like a flagship book at all. It feels like it just kind of exists.
But it was for the last 5 years until Rebirth. Maybe if they want to give it a break, and that's fine. Let Hitch tell whatever weird story he wants to, and it can, you know, the hardcore fans like us can skip it, but the more casual people just want to go in there and read a book. Yeah, that's fine. With Justice League of America, I don't feel how the Justice League of America. That's always weird. Like, once you want to delineate, like, this is America's team, I feel like it's into trouble, because John's had that issue too when he tried to create the Justice League of America. And I think he excelled at it a little more because he made it like a government-sponsored kind of team. But I feel like this book doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a sci-fi book or a superhero book.
Yeah, the name also made sense with that JLA because it was, like you say, government-sponsored. It felt like that's what the whole point was. But even that felt like this weird whimper of a thing where it only lasted like 2 trades, and then now it's United, and that had some fun stories in it. But it felt like this weird thing where I don't think they've really justified, at least since the start of the New 52, having a second Justice League book. They really haven't.
No. It's kind of like what Marvel does with Avengers, isn't it? They slap it on. Like, this is nowhere near as bad. They slap it on everything. How many Avengers books have they got at the minute?
I have no idea because I don't pay attention to them.
Right, but you know, there's quite a few because the name sells. And that's why DC is so insistent to have a second Justice League book, because it sells enough on just the name alone that it's safe money. But even though the quality isn't there to back them up.
Yeah.
It's a shame though, because we didn't like Justice League and we thought, oh, GLA, that should be good. And then it's not, and it's like, well, now we have 2 bad Justice League books. Why do we have 2 bad Justice League books?
Did they ever actually explain why this one's called JLA?
No.
In the
Batman. He wanted a team of the people and then picked a bunch of aliens and a living embodiment of light. So
yeah, but obviously,
the living embodiment of light is American. To be fair, that's not.
That's true, but he's not human. That was always the thing. Like, Batman's he wanted a more human league, and they had Vixen and Canary.
Yeah. You said this every single issue we reviewed back when it started, Matt. I remember hearing this every single 2 weeks.
And
then you get to But Lobo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You know what also set me off was reading Supergirl. Kat was talking about Lord Havoc. And I was like, oh, you just went and done it.
Oh, yeah, that was just obviously, it's just a little thing where it's referencing something that happened in the news, but it's like, I was like, oh, well, I guess it's fun they're referencing other books, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Orlando's book as well. The sneaky little bugger.
He's cross-promoting his own thing.
The cheeky little bugger, how dare you. But no, it's just this weird that in a week where Supergirl maybe has one of its best issues of the run so far, this is like just borderline.
Orlando can't do teams, can he?
Borderline unreadable. But then you say that, but then you look at Night of the Monster Men, which had quite a lot of characters in it. I mean, I know he co-wrote all those issues, so maybe that's why. But
I think that was plotted already, and he was, from my impression, did he plot and not write? Or was it the other way around?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was the one.
They traded off because he worked with King on it.
Yeah, but I think the question is, like, did Orlando plot the story and then the individual writers did the dialogue in their issues?
Or did they,
or was it the other way around?
Together, did they plot it and then go, right, Orlando, you just write the scripts?
I have no idea. I would guess the former, but I really am not that sure.
I feel like maybe, because I think even what you've been saying about JLA here, like, there's some good ideas for the story. Like, you know, when you look at this as a story, going, oh yeah, we're going to the Multiverse, this should be good. So if he plots Night of the Monster Men, that's fine, but then you don't have any clunky team dialogue because the individual writers can do it.
It's King who's been writing Batman, it's Tynion who's been writing Detective, it's Seeley who's been writing Nightwing.
Yeah.
So frustrating as hell, and as much as the whole point of this was, let's jump back on and maybe we'll read the whole arc of this microverse thing, I don't think either of us want to remotely. So.
I've made a huge mistake. Throw up a Job face.
Pete, do you feel like you wasted your time really reading those other 6 issues as well?
A little bit. And you know what? I didn't at first, because when I got to 7, it started to get a little bit better. I was like, maybe this is where it starts to, incline up. And I was like, it'll start to find its feet and I'll start to feel better. And I did for like 2 issues, and then it just immediately started to go back into its ways. And then this issue... I don't hate this issue as much as I did those first 2 arcs, because at least I have, like, the goal they have is somewhat investing. Like, whereas before it was, who's this Havoc guy? Oh, he wants to take over this place, blah, 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 I don't care. At least here, like, okay, I care about Ray Palmer, I want him to get to there, and I like the microverse idea, but everything else about it
The problem is, those are things that Orlando hasn't earned. They're things that you like anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But this is the thing, I actually kind of like the Ray, and he did earn that, because that one shot is what made me care about the Ray.
I'll give him that one. Those one shots were legitimately very good for the most part.
Yeah, which is why it's like, no, just focus. Like, you can have the ensemble, but have it, like, kind of like how Tech's been, like, each arc's been mostly focused on the one character.
One person.
And actually, that was kind of why one of the 2 issue arcs before kind of worked, because it was kind of more focused on the Ray. Because it was because I think you mentioned in this issue, Matt, that his mother's got a new family. One of the villain from one of the arcs, he was like this Wishmaster who granted wishes, and she wished for a new family, which obviously made the Ray feel like shit, because she's got this new family that's normal, and she's not locking her weird kid in the house that can, like, explode if light turns on.
Too much light, yeah.
And the actual villain they were fighting was someone who was going around and, like, taking all these wishes back, which often meant, like, killing people or whatever, depending on what it was. And but that at least I liked the idea there, is that it did focus, like, emotionally it meant something to one of the characters, so it had a clear purpose that made it feel like it was, there was a point to it. Whereas I get what the idea was meant to be in those first couple of arcs, but it was just so quickly handled that the weight of it never landed. It never, like, I get what the political point here is, like, the Justice League's interfering in this country's affairs, and you want to, like, explore that idea, but it never really. It just was dull and never interesting, and I felt like I was just going through the dialogue to get to it. And, chore. That is my ultimate word to describe this issue. It was a chore.
Chore, not chore.
Chore, not choy. Yes.
That was awful. I'm sorry.
Yes, it was.
All right, I guess that wraps up the this week's books.
Let's rank things.
Yeah, I feel like we started on such a high note with Mr. Miracle that we ended with Justice League 12, or Justice League of America 12, I should say. That's the favourites of the week, which is what we normally do. We have panels, we have art, we have covers, we have top 5s of the week. This will be an interesting top 5 this week, because I feel like some stuff that normally makes it on I'm not feeling as hot about, and then some other stuff was quite good, and I'll see how I fare here. So we start with best panel of the week. So I'm going to go to Matt, panel. What's your panel?
Yeah. So this should come as zero surprise, but it's that double page in Supergirl where you turn the page and it's the new Fatal 5. Just standing there. Is it Indigo?
Is it Fatal 5 or Fearsome 5? I've been swapping. 5. I've been swapping every time I've said it.
You told me not to correct you on air, so I just let you go.
I didn't know.
But it's Fatal 5.
I know. I don't remember that.
No. See, he can't. He doesn't know, so it's in him.
He might have done.
Yeah. No, but it's the Fatal 5, because the Fearsome 5 are the Titans group. That's where Simon came from.
Wait a minute.
Mammoth.
Wait a minute. He just said, you told me not to correct you on air, and yet earlier on in this very episode, he was like, no, I was waiting until you started talking about the books before I corrected you about that other thing.
I didn't say correct you. I said I let you know that I read Birds of Prey. That's different.
That was a correction. Screw you, Matt.
Okay, whatever. So, the fact that you still believe that you might have said that kills me.
Yeah, you could have got away with that.
But anyways, yeah, it's the Fatal 5 with Magog and Grundy and Selena. All that. It was just I love that issue so much. That panel. Turn that page, almost spilled my coffee. I got so hyped.
Cool. Cara, what's your panel of the week?
Mine's going to be Orion's entrance in the boom tube in Hal Jordan. That panel was just gorgeous.
Very cool. Very cool. I am going to go with a panel
Justice League of America.
the one panel in that had no speech bubbles. That panel.
Who was on art for JLA?
Ivan Reis.
It should have at least looked all right.
It did, but if I don't like what I'm reading, then I don't connect with the art. That's just how my brain works.
The art is. I mean, especially maybe if it's a very quiet story, if it's still bad, if the good art can carry it. But when half of it's covered with these speech bubbles with really annoying dialogue, then it's just destroyed.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's done. I'm actually not. Joe, I think what I'm going to go with actually is I'm really tempted to say Darkseid is. It just pick that. But I'm going to go with. I don't have a particular one in mind, but one of the TV interview panels with the VHS distortion effect over it.
That's pretty good.
Because partly because the whole thing's foreboding, it's very creepy, it's very mysterious. But there's also just something about watching something through like the static, like through a bad reception that feels kind of creepy. Like TV shows like Channel Zero kind of like thrive on that idea. A movie like Videodrome thrives in even The Ring thrives in that idea that watching something through a really distorted signal feels like you're getting the message, but it's not quite been received clearly. Like it's like there's something being lost in the translation. And I like that effect, and it felt very, like I say, foreboding. I was talking about that a lot throughout it. It feels like something's not quite right, and I appreciate that. So I'm going with pick one of those. I don't really care which. the whole
that whole 3-page section.
The whole 3-page section, but it was the same panel essentially, 18 times. So whatever. Okay, so best cover of the week. I'll go to Connor first for this one.
I'm going to give this one to, I think, Detective. I think that's actually a really nice cover with the Azrael bat suit.
He's almost like an angel.
He is. I think it's a really nice cover.
Okay. I'm going to... I don't know. This is one of these weeks where I've got a variant that I really liked. In fact, I've got a couple of variants I really liked. Did you see Supergirl's variant? That was quite a pretty cover.
Go have a look at it now.
But out of the main ones, I think I'm going to go with New Superman.
That's a good cover.
Yeah, it's got some style to it. It's quite dark. Yeah, I like it. So no, New Superman. I don't have a lot to really add about it. But Matt, what's your favourite cover of the week?
I really like the Batgirl and Birds of Prey because it's got Catwoman and Ivy, but then they have the stuff from the other girls. So you have Batgirl's cape, and you have Huntress's crossbow.
That's another one where I really like the variant actually. Over the regular. The
variant was great though. Like that's. But yeah, and they have Canary's jacket, but I like the way that they're posed, and she's Catwoman's giving the wink. So
let's say this dirty old man. I like the way they're posed.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh dear. Best art of the week. I suppose I'm up first for that since I made you two go first already. Art of the week. I mean, yeah, it's Mr. Miracle.
Mine's gonna be the same.
Yeah, same.
As much as I want to give it to Supergirl, because I did love that art too, but
Supergirl's art was good, but it faltered because I really like Brian Ching, who's the usual artist, and I felt like, this is different. Why is this different? Stop this! I don't like change.
I really did enjoy the art in Hal Jordan as well. I thought that was really nice, but yeah, Mr. Miracle.
That's fair. Like I say, very emotional, very ethereal.
Very versatile.
Yes, and everything felt like it was building to the overall tone and atmosphere of the book. Whereas, sometimes comic books will be like, oh no, this is the art because it just makes sense.
It's one of those where it feels like the creative team's in sync and telling the story, whereas sometimes it feels like, oh, this is the artist that's free. Here, just take this one.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that said, top 5 books of the week. Matt, let's have you go first.
All right.
I'm curious.
Yeah, well, I can tell you it's probably not going to be unanimous this week because my number one is Supergirl.
Oh my!
I'm such a mark. I can't help it.
I cannot fault you.
Yeah. But number 2 is Mr. Miracle because it was lower, but like you pointed out, the more you talk about it, the more it landed with me. Connor's got me figured it out, I think. But number 3 is going to be New Superman. It was a great issue. Number 4 is Detective. And then number 5 is The Flash.
Cool. Connor?
Mr. Miracle. 2 is Hal Jordan. 3 Flash. 4 Detective. And I didn't like either of the other 2 enough to give it a number 5 slot. They don't deserve it, so I'm stopping at 4.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
I don't, because I only read 6, so that leaves Action and Titans, and I don't think either of those deserve to be in a top 5.
Just put Action there.
No, I didn't like Action.
He put Action there. I heard it.
Titans is better than Action. Come on now.
Titans is better than Action. But
Wait, so that's number 5?
No, but it's not, because it
Yes,
doesn't
it is.
deserve to be in a top 5.
Connor, if you only like 2 books this week, I'd still make you do a top 5, but you'd have to pick like 3 you didn't like. You still have to order them.
No.
So
No.
Titans is number
God,
5.
I'll give you a bottom.
Listen.
There's a top 4 and a bottom 2.
No,
There's not a top 5.
Does not compute. That's
Nah.
what's going through Pete's brain right now.
So Titans is number 5. It just makes sense. That's what
It's not.
It's official. Ignore what he's saying. Titans is. My top 5. Mr. Miracle's my number 1. New Superman is my number 2. Then Supergirl's number 3. And then Superwoman's number 4. Supergirl's had that in my top 5. I'm actually quite pleased to throw that up there.
Had I read it, it probably would have been in mine too, because you
Yeah.
got that cool Smallville stuff.
And then number 5 will be Detective. So that's my top 5 this week. And shout out to Birds of Prey, because that would have probably been sneaking on to the next slot. So cool. There you go. There's our picks for the week. What am I doing now? I guess I'm telling you what's coming next week, aren't I? That's usually what I do about this time. So what is coming next week? Next week, we of course, it's a big week because not only is there a lot of books, but Dark Knight's Metal number 1 is next week.
Slash
So
number 3.
slash
Kind
number
of.
3, depending on how you count.
No
that.
more prelude to the main event. The main event has started.
Yes,
The
no
undercard out the way.
No more 2-part prelude. We have. I don't know what I think's funny because obviously this month it's just Metal number 1. Next month though, after Metal number 2, we have like one of those one shots almost every week. So it'll feel like we have like a headlining kind of metal themed thing every week, which is kind of cool. But so we have Dark Knight's Metal number 1. We'll also have Aquaman number 27. We'll have Batman number 29, Superman 29, Green Lantern's 29, Green Arrow 29, Nightwing 27, Batwoman number 6, Super Sons number 7. We have Wonder Woman number 28, which got pushed. Am I correct in saying that all of us are not reading Trinity next week?
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm out.
Is this the new team now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, no chance.
Right, so Trinity's also out, we're not reading it, as is Harley Quinn 26 and Justice League 27, but we're not getting to those. I also believe the first of the Digital First series, Gotham City Garage, is out next week.
Yes, and I think the second of the Harley Quinn and Batman is next week as well.
Yeah, I don't usually point out the digital ones, just because it's the first one. I thought
I don't
Yeah.
see Garage on here. I'm looking at it and I don't.
It doesn't show up on previews, Matt.
yeah, it's not on
Okay.
Diamond. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It doesn't come up on there till the physical issue comes out.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So I think we, me and Connor are going to definitely check that out. I don't know if Matt's going to jump in and try that as well, but
Probably not.
a lot of books next week, and a lot of big exciting books. So,
Yo, the Dark Knight's Metal number 1 Kubert variant has Batman riding a dinosaur. I've never wanted something more in my
variants are all
life.
fantastic.
there's a lot of variants. There's a shit ton of them.
But like, I really want the Capullo one because it's making the metal fingers out of the Justice League.
I think it's
But
the
like,
Jock.
he's riding a T-Rex.
I think it's the Jock one that I like a lot.
I would trade Connor Kent for Connor in a heartbeat.
Yes, yeah, as you've said multiple
I
times.
know. I like saying that.
I would also trade Connor for nothing.
I left myself open to that one. That's my fault. It's like when you drop your hands in sparring and they hit you in the face. It's like, that's more on me than it was on you.
So this was a weird week because Action, under-delivered a little bit. There was no Wonder Woman, so it was a weird week too, given what we're used to. But other things did pick up the slack. Superwoman was better than... Well, it's been getting better, but like, I really like that show.
dope.
Supergirl was good. Mr. Miracle was fantastic. New Superman probably had its best issue so far.
Yeah.
So
Turtle Kaiju.
So good stuff. So by all means, let us know what you thought of this week's books in the comments below, whether that's on on the YouTube page, or whether you're on like Twitter or whatever. And of course, the Twitter, of course, is at DC Comics Podcast, which was mentioned earlier. You can also get me, if you want me individually, at Wibble89. Matt, what is your Twitter?
Mine's at Matt of Steel 57.
Connor, what about yours?
And is at Connor Ryan 94.
Cool. So you can get in touch with us that way. Do us a favour, rate the show if you get it off iTunes or whatever.
Yeah.
Go and give it a 5 stars and write
5 stars.
Write a little comment. If you don't think it's 5 stars, then don't rate. Just leave it alone. That's fine.
No, if you don't rate it 5 stars, I know you've been affected by the anti-life equation. So give it 5 stars. I'll have to boom tube to your house.
Yeah. And
It's a terrifying image.
Yeah, the one thing you don't want
It
in your
is.
life is
I
Matt
want that.
boom tubing to your location.
So let me just say, it's Terminator rules, guys. Think about it.
It's terrifying. So do all that. Look forward to next week. I think that's me. I've lost track of what I've done and what I've not done for the outro. I'm just kind of rambling at this point.
That's fine. My feet are asleep from sitting here for so long.
So thank you very
I'm
much.
afraid to walk. I'd be like the Tin Man.
Thank you very much for watching. Just one slight technical note. We did switch hosts this week for the audio versions. Now, it shouldn't have actually made a difference to anyone. But just in case there was something weird happened.
This doesn't affect
why.
you, but I gotta let people know what I did.
Just in case.
Well, this is the strange thing. If this did affect someone, they probably haven't got this episode to hear this.
No. When I say affect, I don't really mean that, because everything migrated, everyone has it. There was a lot of downloads when we first migrated over, and I'm wondering if like the auto downloads on iTunes made people like re-download the newest episode again or something like that. So just in case, like if something weird like that happened, that's why. Like, don't worry about it. We're done now. It's fine. We've moved. But because of that, we're actually on Podbean now. So if you want to use that app instead of whatever you've been using, you've got that option now as well. So you can get us there. So
Cool.
But you can no longer get us on SoundCloud. That is the only change to things. So, but otherwise though, everything else you're good. So, but yeah, that is us. So thank you once again for watching and or listening. Keep reading DC Comics, and always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.
Connor Kent's real and not imaginary.